give us a call. You can hit us up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels over on Facebook. The Bill Michaels Show on Facebook. YouTube, best way to find us, just simply go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And the same thing over on Twitch TV. Last night did not help by any stretch to watch a Chicago Bears team that the Packers beat relatively handily, dismantle Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, and go on to run the ball all over them. Things that we've been screaming for, just run the ball and all that. And it, man, it's, are the Packers, I can't say are the Packers the worst team in the NFC North, because I've watched Detroit play. But have the Packers fallen to the point where we ask that question? You know? Is that fair? 877-867-1670. Again, 877-867-1670. Ben, can we ask, is it fair to ask that question? Are the Packers the worst team in the division?
Oof, I don't think so. The Lions are really bad.
Yeah.
And the Bears still are bad. I think that was more about the Patriots last night than the Bears. Though they did finally decide to play to Justin Fields' strength after weeks and weeks and years of not trying to do so. No, but the expectations, rightfully so, are sky high for this Packers team, or they were. And that's different. Like the Bears are 3-4 and they feel good about it.
Right.
The Packers are, and it feels like the sky has already fallen.
It's not good. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up. And I want because he spoke for a while yesterday. So I want to hear everything that he has to say. But I'm kind of at a loss, if you can tell. Today, I got up this morning. Yesterday, I did some work, and I had a lot of video editing to do yesterday. I'm doing a project for a football team. And so I was doing a lot of video editing stuff. So I was kind of here at the house for a little bit, and then I had to run out for a while. And as I was walking around and doing a few things, running some errands, I had more than a few people say, what's going on with the Packers? What's wrong with Rodgers? Is his thumb that bad? And this and that, you know. And then I got up this morning, and I went and got my hair cut. I went to the bank and did a couple things. And it's the same. It's just the topic of conversation. Now, I've always said the Packers reign supreme in the state of Wisconsin. As much as we love Brewers baseball or Badgers football and Bucks basketball, and then kind of trickles down from there, it is the topic of conversation to the point that there is bewilderment, anger, finger pointing, chuck it, get rid of it. And that chuck it is probably a kind way of putting it. That, people are pissed. This was supposed to be a team that was going all in the last few years for Aaron Rodgers. And this was going to be the true grasping of the brass ring, that there was one, maybe two, maybe three more shots at winning a championship. This was going to be a much better defense. Joe Barry kind of proved himself last year. 3 years of a brilliant Matt LaFleur, to the point where, people are now coming into the Packers organization and raiding the cupboard for coaches, that there's just this churning of success. And all they needed was just a couple of pieces, get Bakhtiari back, have Elton Jenkins back at his natural position, and it's just gone to crap. The offensive line sucks. The run game is non-existent. The head coach doesn't know what he's doing. He's got a lot of excuses, but his actions certainly don't match his words. Rodgers seems the only one determined to try to turn this thing around.
I don't know what that means.
There's another part of the problem. He seems to be the only one determined to say, no, we're not going to let this thing just fail. The defense is not what what we expected it to be, and Joe Barry's come under a lot of criticism again this year, and the special teams, while better, still, they run out just an awful Amari Rodgers who has no business looking at anything in the sky and trying to catch it. It's and it's the same old thing. Now, we went through the whole myriad of process yesterday about how we got from point A to point B and where we are today. But from what we were thinking coming into the season to where we're at today, it is a dramatic difference. A dramatic difference. It was always a given the Packers were going to win the division, but really, how far could they go in the postseason? And I said at the time, I don't give a damn about the regular season. Just get to the postseason. If you're a wild card or if you're a division winner, I don't care, because we've heard all the excuses. Now it's about the proof is in the pudding. You may not even get to the postseason. Most likely you won't. I went through this yesterday, and we're looking at maybe a 7-win team the way they're playing right now. And that's if they beat Detroit twice. The betting world is looking inside the window of 1265 going, this team sucks. I mean, really sucks. And you can't just say, well, you got a couple of guys that don't have a lot of talent. I mean, you got really a lack of attention to detail. That falls squarely on coaching. Squarely on coaching. I don't care if it's position coaches, head coaches, coordinators. It doesn't matter. You got guys that can't catch. You got guys that they. It's the simple things. They can't block. They don't even know the plays. So it's just bad. It's just bad. This is Sammy Watkins, and speaking of somebody who didn't know the play, this is Sammy Watkins after the game talking about the Packers vibe. Listen.
I don't know. I just think we have to figure whatever the issue is, the problem. If you watch the game, you see we have those times where we play good, energy is there, great vibes, and then you have that first half to where you like looking around like what's going on, what's happening. And that's something that I feel like as players, we just play, run routes, block well. We do as we told. That's something that the coach is going to have to figure out, look at themselves and say, what do we have to do, or what are we willing to do to just, for this team to go out there and play well. I think that's it. And as players, we just got to execute. Whatever players call, go out there and maximize our opportunities. And I don't know. We gotta figure it out.
That's he's. We go out, we play well, things start to go wrong. We look around and we say, "What's going on?" And then he goes on to talk about coaching and how they need to figure it out. He's not the first person to point the finger at coaching. Ben, do you get the sense that people are losing faith in what Matt LaFleur or what the other guys on that staff are bringing?
100%. I was going to say, you're talking about the drops and the execution things. I think we can take a bigger picture look at it and see that the team has no fight, but I don't want to put that on the players. They just don't know how to respond to adversity. And that's leadership and that's coaching for me. Where as soon as something goes wrong, they just wither away and die, for lack of a better term.
And they've been this way for a while. It seemed, and we were talking about this at the beginning of the season. Whenever this team gets down, it's like a tale of two worlds. They don't have the ability to make an adjustment to come back. There is more and more and more fingers and little subtle comments being pointed at the coaching staff. And I am not Matt LaFleur's had success here. We don't doubt that. But if this continues with all the success that he has had, and if you continually hear people pointing the finger at the coaching staff saying, "Hey, look, you don't have it. You don't have that ability to wrap your arms around men and say, let's all march in one direction. If you don't have that ability, you got to go, man. You got to go. Now, this year, I don't think anything you do right now is going to make a difference. It's all on players. It's all on coaches to try to right the ship. But if they can't put this thing together in the next couple of months, then at the end of the season, if it continues to spiral in this direction, I think you've got a really tough decision to make if you're Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy. Because you can't do that. You can't waste, if indeed Rodgers comes back, which I would assume he would, you can't waste another year. On the other hand, do you then turn around and say, well, we're going to help you with yet another coaching change, another offensive mind, another offensive line coach, defensive coordinator? I mean, another group of guys that are going to come in and try to right this thing. Do you run the risk of doing that? Or do you just let it ride and watch it just get frittered away? I mean, this is a really tough time via the Packers organization right now for decisions that need to be made. Because like I said, I'm not one to sit here and say, hey, you got to start firing people, because I just don't believe in that. I believe that you have to give everybody the most opportunities to right themselves, or the longest amount of rope to hang themselves, one of the two. But this is just, to listen to some of these guys is like, wow. Pointing to coaching directly. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. From what you've heard, and we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up after the bottom of the hour. From what you heard and what you've witnessed, do you have hope? Do you have hope? 877-867-1670. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Who do you got more faith in? Brady, Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers? Which is an interesting thought. For one of those quarterbacks to turn their team around, or at least get them back to, say, postseason respectability. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Hey, they're back open today after a day off. It's Albanese's Roadhouse right there on Blue Mountain Road next to Menards. Stop in, tell Joey and the gang we said hi. Going to be raining this afternoon, so I don't think I'll be out there playing bocce ball or not, but you can still go in and get yourself some good food, without a doubt. Good Italian food on the west side of town, west side of Milwaukee, out in Waukesha. That's Albanese's Roadhouse, right on Blue Mountain Road next to Menards, across the street from Home Depot. Stop in, tell Joey we said hi. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Drinking the pool water, says Brady, hands down. I trust Brady. Sean says we need to stop drafting for development. This isn't Major League Baseball where you have small market versus large market. It's equal footing in the NFL. Get a stud and build. He said use the draft picks, move up to get a top-notch skill player. Quit drafting one side of the ball, which, you know, they didn't draft one side of the ball. Give Brian Gutekunst a little bit of credit. I mean, he just hasn't drafted well. You know, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, both guys works in progress. But from what we've seen, Quay Walker has been pretty solid. Devontae Wyatt starting to get into the rotation. Christian Watson has been a massive bust. Sean Ryan not seeing the field. Zach Tom playing the left tackle position, did an okay job. Romeo Doubs certainly has the skill. The problem is he cuts off routes, isn't 100% trustworthy, and drops the football far too much. And Gabari just starting to play a little bit more on the defensive end, the outside linebacker position. 2 sacks in the last couple of weeks, coming on decent. Everything else is lackluster at best. Eric Stokes, solid in the defensive backfield. Josh Myers, a solid center. Amari Rodgers sucks. Royce Newman, not good. TJ Slayton, he's in the rotation. Shamar Jean-Charles, Cole Van Lannon, Isaiah McDuffie, Kylan Hill. Hill at least produced a little bit in the return game, but hasn't been much since then, and obviously since the injury. Jordan Love. Why? A.J. Dillon, it'd be nice if you used him. Then Josiah DeGuara, the, quote, Swiss Army knife of a tight end / fullback / wideout. Not much there. Kamal Martin, nothing. John Runyon has been solid. Jake Hansen, decent backup. Vernon Scott, Jonathan Garvin, Stepaniak, nothing. Rashawn Gary has been extremely solid. Darnell Savage has been solid. Elton Jenkins has been solid. Sternberger, Kingsley Kiki, Kadar Holman, Dexter Williams, Ty Summers, nothing. Nothing. I mean, you start to go through this and you're thinking, man, your top 3 have to perform. Go back to 2018. Jair, still around. Josh Jackson, who? What? Oren Burks, what? Jamon Moore, Cole Madison, what? Who? J.K. Scott, oh. MVS and Equinemius St. Brown, gone. Looney, Hunter, Bradley, and Kendall Donnerson. You have one guy out of 2018 that's still on this team. That's bad. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Bill listening to us in Manitowoc. Bill, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today?
Hi, Bill. Great show as always. I'm just a little concerned with the coaching, especially Matt LaFleur. My 3 points on it is he continuously gets all coached. He doesn't know how to make adjustments at halftime. And the biggest problem that's alarming me right now is the fact that he stated, when asked these questions about the offensive line, which they knew was going to be a problem, his answer is, I don't know. You go back to all of the previous coaches, and they would have never made that statement, even McCarthy. But to say, I don't know, that is a big alarming thing in my view. And the way the team is just acting right now, that's my take on it.
Yep. I appreciate the phone call. I said the same thing. When you got a head coach that is hit with real questions and the coach says, I don't know. I said that day on Sunday when he said that in the postgame presser, I thought, that's a little bewilderment. I get it, but you can't say that.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, apparently there's a lot you don't know right now. I know Aaron Rodgers has stuck up for him, which gives me hope. But somebody sent me this the other day. I think it was yesterday. When you go back and you look at James Jones, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, Randall Cobb, Youth, Jermichael Finley, that was an offense that was built as a machine with weapons, guys that could do things. Jordy was your back shoulder guy. James and Greg could get downfield. Donald Driver was your over the middle guy. Your breakdown guy was Randall Cobb. Jermichael Finley was a mismatch nightmare. I mean, how they didn't win a championship. Well, they did. I mean, but not with Randall Cobb because he came the year after. How they didn't win another championship is beyond me. Just beyond me. It was always we'll fit the square peg into the round hole on defense. It's so maddening. So maddening. They didn't win another one with that kind of weaponry. Wow. Just wow. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, do so. William says Sean Payton's not going to come here to have a reputation damaged by Aaron Rodgers, even though Sean Payton is available. Brandon says, hey, Bill, how about MVS balling out down in Kansas City? Maybe they should have kept him. He's had his moments where he's looked like MVS, like what we knew here. But I will say this, they keep going to him. And there is something to be said for the offensive mind of Andy Reid. But if you look at some of the things they're running on Sunday, and I don't know who just tweeted this. I think it was Peter Bukowski. 4 plays with motion. 4 plays with motion on Sunday for the Packers. What happened to this offense? Why has the play calling become so pathetic? It's awful. Shotgun, 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 fake a handoff, which is not even really a fake. There's not much effort there. Fake the handoff, quick outs, missed block, drop pass, holding call, out. Completely abandoning the run. And we've talked about it time and again. Your best offensive player is Aaron Jones, and it's almost like now you're trying not to give him the football. It's like, did he piss somebody off when he changed management? Did his agent, who could piss off everybody, did he just make people mad or something? Is he just not a part of the offense anymore? What's the problem? 877-867-1670. Let's go to Eric listening to us in Green Bay. Eric, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Hey, what's happening, Bill?
I'm just hanging out talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, man. This is a great topic. I've been wanting to talk a little bit about Jones, and I don't know why they won't use him either. I mean, aside from the fact that half the time they do use him, it's really a poorly conceived play, and he's making something out of nothing. They refuse to put Rodgers under center and play action, and when they do, it works. I mean, the first drive in the last game, or the second drive, first and second drive, the one that they scored on, they were using play action, mixing it in there, which is effective. I don't know why they go away from it, but there's a train of thought that maybe they're trying to save Jones till later in the season or save his legs for the playoffs. And what that also does, and I think they've actually done this for the past couple of years, because Jones probably, the argument could be made that he should have been featured in the ground game much more the past couple of seasons too, and McCarthy never used him. But that what causes to happen also is that Jones doesn't get used to getting popped real good and legitimately through the regular season. And when the playoffs roll around and he does get popped good and legitimately, he fumbles deep in our end of the field. Has done so twice out of the last 3 playoff losses. So I really disagree with the not using him because you're saving his legs. You need to toughen the guy up. And, that's what I got. I'm baffled as to why they put Rodgers under center, Bill, and use play action to open everything up. It'll help the line. It'll help the young receivers. I don't get it. It clearly helps Rodgers because he's been able to roll out and have a million years to find nobody open. But, he has the time. I don't know why they don't do it more.
Yeah.
And it's baffling.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the phone call. Going back to the theory of holding him for the postseason, you're not going to the postseason. It's just, if you're holding him for the postseason, you're an idiot. You're not going to the postseason at this point. So I suggest pulling your head out of your rear end and start running an offense with play action, with movement, under center. Do the things that you're really good at. Aaron Rodgers is an incredible play action passer. And I'll tell you what, when he sells a fake, he sells it better than anybody. And he's done it for a long time. Why they don't use that more often, I have no idea. I just don't. Now, can you do it every play? Of course not. But you got to build something. You got to get into a rhythm. You got to do something. It's like, what the hell? 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Going to get back to it. Kevin, you'll be up next. Stay tuned. A whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think collectively we've got to do better, and we've got to coach better, and certainly, again, like the detail of how we're doing some of the things we're doing is just not to the level of winning football in the National Football League. So, it's I guess there's positives and negatives to it. The negatives is we're sitting here at 3-4. The positive is I think a lot of this stuff is correctable. So, but we there's got to be. I think our players are urgent with it, but it's got to be better, and it's got to get better like yesterday.
We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. I was going to do it at the bottom of this hour. We're going to take it past the top of the next hour. Tom Oates is also going to join us from the Wisconsin State Journal coming up here in just a little bit. So after the top of the hour, we'll talk to Oatesy as well. So
there are positives, Bill. Yeah. There are positives.
Yeah, there's positives. I don't know what they are, but there's positives. I okay. All right. Guess we'll go along with that. I don't know right now. I mean, you can talk about certain things going right, certain players making progress, if you will. You can get into all of that, but there's not a lot of positives right now, to be honest. I mean, if you think there are, you're fooling yourself, or you're lying to yourself, or you're trying to say that so you bolster a team's resolve. But no, there's really not. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's go back to the phone calls. Let's talk to Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's up, man?
Good morning, Bill. Positive as I can't think of that either. And I think LaFleur needs to really sit down and listen to his press conferences and just wondering what the hell he talks about. I don't get it. You know, he's given us a lot of lip service. To me, this team shows no motivation. There's no urgent. He talked about urgency. Okay, what happens to the urgency at the end of the game on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
When you have 5 minutes left in the game, you're down 2 scores, and you go into a huddle.
Right.
You know, I don't get his reasoning on some of that stuff, and I don't get it.
Nope. I agree.
And then and then you talk about a little bit about the defense, but look at time of possession. That defense has been on a field a lot this year. So these guys, by the end of the game, they're tired. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Barry is a great defensive coordinator, but these guys are gassed by the end of the game because they're on the field over half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some of those big plays, you're gonna get those big plays because when you're gassed, what happens? Your mental capacity is gone, and you just don't. I don't know. You try to not make excuses for this team. They're professionals. They should figure this out, but I have to agree with Sammy Watkins is that this coaching staff, there's something not right. It doesn't get these guys up and going for every game and showing urgencies on their part, not the players, on their part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pointing the finger at the coaching staff by more than one player now is becoming bothersome. It's almost like what is going on behind closed doors to where guys are looking to the coaches going, they got to figure it out. I've never, when people were questioning Mike McCarthy, they weren't questioning McCarthy and his ability to coach. They were questioning kind of the passion side of things and the play calling and some scheme stuff. But this is like they're talking about a guy that doesn't even seem to have a clue. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know. Yeah. He doesn't know what to do right now. I mean, it's easy to coach when you're winning, but it's hard to coach when you're not. And it appears that right now the Packers head coach doesn't appear to know how to coach when things are rough.
And I have to agree with you on that too. I mean, he just like he goes into a shell himself, and he doesn't know. He doesn't want to stick his head out and do anything about it. It's just so. I mean, as a fan, it's like, do I want to waste my time on a Sunday now and watch these guys? I was through the lean years back in the 80s and stuff, and when I still watched, but back then they still it looked like they had urgency and still like they just didn't have players,
mm-hmm.
but they went out there and they played, and and it just like these guys, they don't play, and we shouldn't be talking about this every week.
Right.
We should be talking about the wins, the Badgers, the Bucks, but it just seems like because of how everything's going with the Packers, it sucks.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much the explanation. It just sucks right now. How else do you bet? How else do you bet? It just sucks. I don't know. That's probably the key word for everybody right now. How the Packers playing? It just sucks. That's a great description. Yeah.
So, well, thanks for taking my phone call, Bill.
All right, bud. Talk to you soon. He drops off. You get on board, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. A lot of people chiming in the Bud Light live stream, and I want to give you you guys and girls over there your say. Charlie says he believes that Matt LaFleur is lost. Randy says maybe they're trying to get a new head coach or coaching staff. Maybe if we all point the finger, something will change. Complicated Fella says make a list of players that have played, expected, above expectations, below expectations. The list of below expectations is a reflection of coaching. That is a great point. John says, could it be you kept running it back 3 years and almost the same guys, and then here and they heard the same message, then you group in a bunch of rookies and hey, all of a sudden the team is lost? Charlie says, why not go to the hurry up offense for a change of pace? They did that, had success. They did that and had success second half of that ball game. They got to bring in a different coach, a tough coach. Matt LaFleur is not. This team needs some discipline, Brandon says. Charlie, it's the same thing over and over again, same excuses. Team says, unless I see a major revamp, such as a no-huddle offense, more under center snaps, more crossing routes. Basically, if nothing's changed, then what means they are doing their job? You have to try and show us that you're trying to do your job. ESPN Steve says, if LaFleur is let go, who is the next coach? That's a great question. Do you bring in old school guy and try to bring in a guy like a Sean Payton? Or which, we don't even know where he's going to end up before it's all said and done. But we do know that he wants to coach again. Or
Urban Meyer.
Or no, you're not bringing in Urban Meyer.
I've been told he's a winner, Bill.
Yeah. Well, he's yeah. Well, he is, because he keeps getting millions to go back to Fox. So if you talk about it as the pay increase goes, yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner. But yeah, I agree with everybody. I'm. This is from, by the way, this is from Becky, who says, "Do you think LaFleur gets to the end of the season?" Yes, because they are going to give him every opportunity to succeed. But if this, and this is the key to this. When Mark Murphy made the move on Mike McCarthy, it had been a long time. Mike had been there a long time, still had a lot of success. We all know that, right? But Murphy had said that he thought it looked like the team, I can't remember what exactly the word he used, but it was like effortless or lifeless or, and then in essence, Mike had lost the team. If it looks like Matt LaFleur had lost the team, I think at some point, they'll make that move. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he has. Okay? What I'm saying is this team looks lifeless right now in many facets. But if you continually have players saying, hey, look, it's the coaching. You hear more about coaching and having an impact or not having an impact or trying to figure it out, can't figure it out, whatever. If you continually hear that, you got to think hard about where you're at. It doesn't matter the success, the amount of success you've had. You got to think long and hard about that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. When we come back, I got Andy and Mike and a cast of thousands on hold. Hang in there. Got a lot more to get to, I promise you. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. Go to wishd.com. That is wishd.com for everything regarding your motorcycle needs. It's our good friends over there at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. And they can help you out when it comes to certain things such as motor clothes. If you're still going to ride this weekend, still looks to be pretty good in the 60s. Not a bad way to go. Go get some motor clothes. Get your bike in for service. Get the end of the year service. You can also, in that sense, you can also go to the service department and get your bike winterized. Storage, they're completely full. So if you wanted to store your bike, but you can still get it in, get that end of season oil change, throw some stable in the tank, get it back home, get it on a trickle charger. If you need a trickle charger, they have those chargers. The ones that keep your battery fresh all season long, they can do that for you too. So stop in. That's wishd.com. That's wishd.com. Highway 67 in Oconomowoc. Check them out just below 94 again, wishd.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers spent the day in meetings reviewing their loss to Washington. How are the players handling the corrections? Running back A.J. Dillon.
Just kind of seeing the vibe. I think everybody's taking the coaching well, I would say. And I think everybody is able to buy into the process of, going out there and, attacking it day by day. And I think that, definitely says a lot about the guys that we have here.
At 3-4, Green Bay is now tied with the Chicago Bears, who upset the Patriots 33-14 last night in Foxborough on Monday Night Football. On offense, the Packers are a little short at wide receiver. Randall Cobb an IR with an ankle injury. Christian Watson with a hamstring. Matt LaFleur was asked about Alan Lazard, who had to exit Sunday's game at FedEx Field.
He hurt his shoulder, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that and see how it heals throughout the course of the week.
Packers rookie receiver Romeo Doubs had a rough day, going 0 for 4 with targeted passes, but says there's plenty of games left to play for whoever is out there.
Things will start to click regardless of how old or young the room is. And again, this was just another one of those games where you can just figure out ways to learn from it and just be a better player moving forward.
That's receiver Romeo Doubs. From Lambeau Field, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Good day to you. Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on this portion of the program, brought to you by our buddy Dwayne at Dwayne's Cover It All. Wausau is where he's located, but Wisconsin's best upholstery, boat cover provider, refinishing furniture, whatever it happens to be. If you need it for office furniture, for furniture at your house, whatever you got going on, Dwayne is the best. Go to Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That's Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Or call him, 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. That is Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Andy listening to us in Appleton. Andy, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Good. How are you, Bill?
Good today. What's on your mind?
Well, I guess how I see this thing is maybe a little differently than what I've been hearing. I really see where the Packers are at right now as a result of a couple of years of really poor roster management. We are where we are, the way I see it, with two main issues: receiver and offensive line. And to let as many receivers, good young receivers, go as we did in one chunk, that should have been foreseen a couple of years before, and not let to happen, or not allowed to happen to a quarterback like Rodgers. And if we're expecting 2 to 3 rookie wide receivers to carry this team through into the playoffs, then I think you're fooling yourself, because they're not going to get that good that quick. You look at some of the good receivers that have come through here; they always take a year or two or more to really get where they have to be for Rodgers to trust them. Offensive line is another thing. I look specifically at Bakhtiari. I think he's awesome when he's healthy. I don't think he's going to be healthy again. And the cap hit now we have to take with him to get him into next year is going to be ridiculous. I think it's somewhere around $30 million next year.
Yeah. If you cut him loose, you save $6 million, but it's still a lot of dead money.
It is, and these things to me could have been foreseen. I think the receiver thing in particular, though, I see a lot of drop passes. And I see a lot of routes being run wrong. And because they depend on their receivers so much to block, I see a lot of missed blocks. And that of course, affects the way Rodgers can fulfill his role. So I see those two issues as a Gutekunst issue that should have been foreseen and tackled well before they happened. And that's kind of my take of where we're at. I think the team overall is probably playing at the level they should be for receiver core, because they're rookies.
Yeah, well, that I agree with. I appreciate it, man. When you talk about a lot of the things, the little things like you're describing, that goes back to coaching. I mean, I get it. You need to have guys understand the system, and they'll develop and they'll get a hang of it and such. But some of this stuff is you're just flat out missing. And that's coaching. That's concentration. I don't know how else to put it. That's we can sit here and make all the excuses in the world for it, but it's just coaching. Real quick, let's go to Mike listening to us in Green Bay. Mike, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, man. Over the years, in the past, you had experienced coaches that would look at down distance, clock, field position, and say, okay, this is the best decision to make at this point in time. And they'd make those decisions. And then the accumulation of years of statistics on all that, now they have computers that accumulate all that information over the decades, and they say, oh, statistically, at this down distance, clock, and field position, this is the best yielding play for this situation. And it's those statistics now that are calling the plays instead of the experience and seasoning of that coach. And so everything is turned upside down. Instead of the knowledge and experience calling the plays, is statistics. And I think that they're looking at everything statistically, and they're saying this is the right play to call in this situation. Well, it used to be you had knowledge and experience, and it went from the play being called by the quarterback to the sideline, and now to the computers. That's all I got.
All right, man. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Tom Oates of the the State Journal coming up next. Tom Oates is going to be joining us. We'll talk with him. Little Badgers, little Packers. Get back into the conversation. Also coming up the next hour, stay tuned, because I want you to hear the things Matt LaFleur had to say yesterday coming out of Sunday's loss. And I want to react to that as well. A lot of stuff yet to discuss. We're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Hang in there. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Injury issues in the wide receivers room continues to mount for the Green Bay Packers. Already without Randall Cobb and Christian Watson, Green Bay is now dealing with the possibility of not having Allen Lazard when they go to Buffalo this Sunday. Lazard, who hurt his shoulder in Sunday's 23-21 loss to Washington, was seen with a sling on his left arm yesterday in the locker room. Now, despite injuries and lack of offense, head coach Matt LaFleur says they're trying to find ways to put points on the board.
We're looking at it, I promise you, very, very closely in terms of how we think we can move the football, because I don't think anybody wants to be where we're at right now from an offensive standpoint. And in order to get more plays, we have to do a better job being more manageable third downs and convert when those opportunities are there.
To the college ranks following Wisconsin's 35-24 victory over Purdue, Wisconsin safety senior John Torchio was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week after racking up a career-high 10 tackles, intercepting 2 passes, and taking 1 back for a touchdown. The Badgers are on bye this weekend.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
In preparation for the start of their season, Wisconsin basketball had a closed-door practice against Northern Iowa. Here's more from Greg Gard.
We never trailed, so it was one of those where we didn't get really, got pushed a little bit, but I want to know how we respond when things don't go well. Like if we lose a game, which is probably going to happen. You know, how do we bounce back? How do we handle that?
The Badgers will have an exhibition game the 30th against Eau Claire before taking on South Dakota on November 7th. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
It's certainly a problem. I think this is trial by fire for Matt LaFleur. He's had 3 relatively easy years of coaching. In his 4th year, things aren't going right. I think you look around the league, I don't see the 49ers and the Rams and other teams that are running this offense. I don't see them thriving either. I think, but everyone wants to simplify it into one thing. Their offensive problems are on the quarterback or on the line or on the coaching. This has got 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 angles you can go at this, and they've all come together and created as bad an offense as we've seen in the last 20 years. And part of it is the offensive line and the uncertainty and the moving around. Part of it is play calling. I mean, you have to get, I don't necessarily think coaches should listen to Twitter or fans or anything or media or anything else, but
how many ways do people have to scream, get the ball in Aaron Jones's hands? And, at this point, with the status of their wide receiver core, that should be something they're absolutely trying to do at all times. And it's the quarterback. Clearly his thumb is impacting some of his throws. He's not as mobile as he was, which, with a shaky offensive line, we've seen a little of that. But he's 37, 38 years old. He's not going to be as mobile as he was. The wide receiver core is an utter disaster at this point. Alan Lazard was your wide receiver one. Well, he's not a wide receiver one in the National Football League.
Mm.
Not a bad player, but he's not a wide receiver one. And now he's gone. Randall Cobb had a great start to the season. Now he's injured. What's left is a bunch of rookies and practice squad players. And it's really, they're paying for some sins, some mistakes. Drafting Amari Rodgers as a wide receiver appears to be a mistake. So again, you put all this together, the wide receiver core, the line, the coaching, the quarterback, the decline in Aaron Rodgers' play, which, I think is at least somewhat medically related. And then, they had a major shuffle in their offensive coaching. Does Matt LaFleur miss Nathaniel Hackett? Well, he might be able to hire him in another week or two, but does he miss Nathaniel Hackett? I don't think the line's nearly as good without Stenovich coaching the line. So there's a confluence of events there that have created an offense that just is really, really hard to watch.
The concern for me was when Matt LaFleur was kind of pinned down on Sunday, and he said, that he was asked specifically, hey, look, this is bad and heading in a bad direction. You keep talking about running the football. You don't. You keep talking about, doing the little things right. They're not fixed. And they said, well, how are you going to do that? And he said, I don't know. Does that concern you that he just says, I don't know?
Yeah, that's just the stock coach quote. If I knew how to fix it, we wouldn't be here. They just haul that out and fall behind it. Behind the scenes, they have to be thinking. As bad a head coach as Nathaniel Hackett was, I tend to think he was a really good assistant coach who had a lot of ideas and was able to really help a head coach. So, he has to really get creative here. And I think he came in with a blueprint. Coaches are until there are situations like this, where, you don't have Devontae Adams. You don't have two or three wide receivers that scare opponents, that are able to get open one-on-one on their own, or that are able to run the right route all the time. And you have to get creative. I mean, they have to get creative in their use of Aaron Jones. I can tell you that right now. And amazingly, everybody's been saying that, and yet his carries don't go up. Now his touches went up in the last game, so I don't. I think that mitigates that criticism somewhat because he caught so many passes. They got him the ball, but they have to get him the ball even more because he's really all they've got.
And you talked about Aaron Jones specifically. They keep saying, well, it's unacceptable. And I understand sometimes when you end up in down and distance, you have some penalties, you have some drops, you're third and long and such. I get it. But, only 4 plays this past weekend with actual motion in them, only 5 plays with play action. It doesn't seem like you're getting very creative play calling wise to make the most out of what little you have. You know what I mean?
It seems less creative than it was in the past.
Yep.
And maybe he's hamstrung by having rookie wide receivers and all those kinds of things. I mean, it's possible that they just can't do some of those things. The other kind of hidden thing that we haven't talked about is stupid penalties by the line have put them in long down and distance situations. Their third down conversion rate is very poor. And a lot of times that's a function of being 3rd and 10 as opposed to 3rd and 4. And, they've had timely untimely penalties, offensive line. But that comes back to coaching too. You have to have a disciplined team. They've been disciplined in the past. Not sure they're disciplined now. I don't know. Does that have to do with some of the offensive line changes in terms of the coach and players jockeying positions? I mean, think about it. 4 players started at different positions Sunday than they had played all season. And that's just a phenomenal amount of change in an offensive line where obviously we've all talked about it for 100 years, where continuity and cohesiveness are, and playing side by side over a long period of time help the line function. And for people to be flying around from left guard to right guard, right tackle to left guard, I'm not saying they were bad moves. Alton Jenkins, in my mind, should have never been moved from left guard. I think he's a great left guard. But that all, again, that's another thing that's factored into it, is 3rd and longs are really hard to overcome, especially when you don't trust your offensive line to protect your quarterback for more than about two and a half seconds.
The defense, we've seen kind of the bend but don't break. They weren't really aggressive. They've tried to step it up a little bit recently. But this was supposed to be something that was going to carry this team. It was going to be a top 5 defense. And, Quay Walker, it's going to take a little while for him to understand. I think you're starting to see him use a little bit more athleticism and not just, try to think about everything so much. At least he's getting a little more involved. They're starting to bring in TJ Slayton in a rotation and Devontae Wyatt and such. But the defense, are you disappointed in the defense, or you just think the defense has had so much pressure put on it that they just haven't lived up to expectations because of the pressure?
I think the defense has been a huge disappointment because it was supposed to be good. And there's 6 first-round draft picks starting and another couple of highly paid free agents. I mean, absolutely. There's no question that defense should be better. I thought the defensive coordinator erred early in the season by not using players correctly. I mean, Jair Alexander, despite giving up a touchdown to Terry McLaurin Sunday, Jair Alexander is an elite man-to-man cover guy. Well, why do you not play him in a position to play to his strengths? I did not think the defensive coordinator was playing to the strengths of his players earlier in the year. Again, credit to a lot of fans, and I don't do this too often, but they were pointing this out before it happened on the field, which I find absolutely amazing. But I do think the last couple of weeks it has been a little better. The blitzing, getting pressure on the quarterback, sometimes you have to manufacture pressure. And this guy does not manufacture pressure well that I've seen.
The special teams better?
Better, but it'd be hard pressed to say they're worse. They still have a few gaps, but I think that's the nature of special teams. The lineups are so transient, and a guy gets hurt, and all of a sudden, a guy gets thrown in there that hasn't practiced, and things like that. Mm-hmm. I do think they're better. I think they're more focused on special teams, which they have to be. I think they're better. I mean, they've had too many mistakes, but I think you have to tolerate a few mistakes on special teams because, like I said, it's just it's not like offense and defense where your roles are really defined. And but I think they've played decent enough special teams to win football games.
Before I switch over to Badgers real quick, does this team give you any sign of hope to even get themselves right and into, say, a wild card position?
With the current health of the wide receivers, I'm not real optimistic. I just think they were going to be hard pressed to have a decent wide receiver core pre-injury, and post-injury here. If Lazard's out a while, sure looked to me like he like he separated his shoulder, and that could be anything. He could be playing Sunday, or he could be gone for a week or a month. But until that wide receiver, I mean, you know, Rodgers is just thrown to a poor set of wide receivers. The second half of that game, I mean, that was as poor a group of wide receivers after Lazard went out, you know, with Randall Cobb on IR. That was as poor a group of wide receivers as I've ever seen in Green Bay. And that even goes back to the 80s. Well, you know, and it's maybe the first Holmgren year they went, well, still had Sterling Sharp. No, that's a real problem. And, you know, I mean, I think they thought they were covered. They thought one of those rookies, Dobbs or Watson or whoever would step up. But there's really nothing there. A washed up veteran in Watkins who can't run anymore. You saw that on a couple of plays. And some rookies and again, Amari Rodgers, who's proved to be quite a bust. So, wow. I mean, what do people expect out of, you know, Rodgers couldn't make that group look good. Tom Brady couldn't make that group look good. Patrick Mahomes couldn't make that group look good. But it's the NFL, and you have to work around that. And that's where Matt LaFleur has to go back full circle to the start of this conversation. That's where Matt LaFleur has to start getting creative. And I mean really creative and start doing some things, not just thinking, you know, well, this has always worked. Well, it'll start to work eventually. Well, that's not happening.
Do want to ask you about the Badgers real quick and the fact that the Badgers have a bye week this week. They've obviously fired Paul Chryst since the last time you and I have talked. Jim, is this Jim Leonard's, is this a tryout, or do you believe that just at the end of the season, Jim Leonard's going to get the job and he's going to have the opportunity to kind of right the ship, so to speak?
I believe the plan all along was to get Jim Leonard the job, and the only way that would not happen is if he fell on his face completely. And I don't see that happening. I think this team is better than what it's played over the course of the season. And I think Jim Leonard is going to be an outstanding head coach. And again, if they'd have gone on a long losing streak and looked disorganized and all that, I would certainly, I think that would be the only thing that would derail the plan of putting Jim Leonard out of, into the permanent position. I've said all along that given Jim Leonard's popularity, that if any other coach runs out of that tunnel next August 31st or whenever they open the season, if any other coach but Jim Leonard runs out of that tunnel, he's going to get booed. And I don't think that's what you want your head coach, how you want your head coach to be greeted by Badger fans. And I think Jim Leonard's that popular, and I think he's deservedly that popular. I think this is the right person at the right time, and for a whole bunch of reasons. And so, yeah, and I don't see them falling on their face. They were competitive in their loss, and they won 2 other games fairly impressively. So he certainly is doing what he needs to do, which is show that he can impress people with the way his team plays.
Good stuff as always, Tom. I appreciate it, and we're going to talk again soon, okay?
All right, Bill. Nice talking to you.
You too, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. Tom Oates of the Wisconsin State Journal. You can find him at Tom Oates over on Twitter as well and track his stuff down there. But good stuff. Good stuff by Oatesy. Certainly appreciate it. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout again. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Be glad to say hello and talk a little bit more about all of this that's being discussed regarding the Green Bay Packers. The other thing to think about is sit back, relax, because I know we got some people on hold. But when we come back, I want you to hear from Matt LaFleur and what he had to say yesterday. So stay tuned for that upcoming. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Choose our friends at Bud Light and make it a tremendous holiday season. Always drink responsibly. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Adela in the title tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take the Game Day Bus
to Titletown.
Let's go. Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down, make no payments, and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We continue on. Good to have you on board. Hey, even though the Packers got you down, you can still get up And if you're going to head over to our friends over there at Quick Trip, don't forget about the opening drive sweepstakes. You can purchase any of Quick Trip's fully guaranteed gasolines with Quick Rewards, and you're automatically entered. It's that simple. One weekly winner is going to win a $10 gas card for every yard earned on the Packers opening drive. That's why you hope they figure this thing out. Quick Trip, proud partner of Packers football, and if they score on that opening drive, that's an extra $500 right there in your pocket. Good to go for my good friends over there at Quick Trip. And you need gas anyway, right? Stop in, get it, you're good to go. It's that simple. Good stuff. Let's start with everything that's been stated from Matt LaFleur from yesterday. He was started out asking, okay, let's talk first and foremost, what happened to Allen Lazard?
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that and see how it heals throughout the course of the week.
Red China. What happened with David Bakhtiari? When did he have the problems, and how concerned are you now about the left tackle position?
Oh, yeah, anytime a guy doesn't play in a game, and he got through the week of practice, and Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go. And we went out and they worked him out in pregame and didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
All righty then. It's not like, oh, there's some swelling. Oh, we're just taking it easy. No, it's just that he felt like he couldn't go. What happened? We're not going to tell you. Red China. So Bakhtiari, who they were going to put on this pitch count, and said that, he's back to practice. He's good to go. He's played a full game. He practiced every day this past week when they said he's probably going to practice every other day. So why?
Yeah, I think it's more about balancing the workload. It's the total overall workload. So he's been limited every day. He it just kind of got to that situation where he wanted to practice, and so it's unfortunate that it went that way. But we've been doing that the last couple of weeks, and he's been able to play at a pretty good level. He was playing pretty well, and certainly never want to, we're a better offense with him, no doubt about it.
Okay, so he wanted to practice. So you got to break some of this down, because it's a question of, okay, this was the way it was going to be. Why is it this? So he was going to practice, but not every day, but he's been saying he's been fine. And so he's kind of been churning through. And then Saturday morning, he said he didn't feel good. Something wasn't right. They worked him out. Sunday morning, said he couldn't go. So now what? He was asked about the new offensive lineup: Zach Tom, Jenkins, Myers, Runyon, Josh Nijman, all against the Commanders.
I thought, going against a pretty good front, I thought they played pretty well. It wasn't flawless by any stretch, but for the most part, did pretty good. I know we were kind of getting the ball out really quickly in a lot of instances to not allow that front to kind of wreck the game. And, there were a couple plays where we had some miscommunication where we should have gotten a little bit more in the run game that kind of set us back. But I thought for the most part, it was pretty decent.
Did not allow the front to wreck the game. At some point, don't you have to say, I got to see what we got in our front? Again, back to Bakhtiari. When the trainer said Bakhtiari would not play before the game, how did that change things for you?
Let's just say I was a little bit later getting out to the pregame warm-up than typical, shuffling some things around. But, it is what it is. That happens throughout, in a game. That may happen. And that's even more chaotic. But it was at least you had some time to kind of reorganize some things. Obviously, it didn't necessarily help us. It's not like we were very productive offensively. So, it just, we got to play better. No doubt about it. And just the little details are what bothers me. We had illegal formations, covering guys up, 2 men in motion at the same time. The fundamentals of playing with your hands inside. We got called for a couple holdings. So it's just all those little things. We had drop balls. It's just all that stuff adds up. It's all the little details. And when you don't go out there and play with great fundamentals and do all the little things right, it's hard to win a game in this league. And we just put ourselves behind the sticks way too many times.
That's coaching. That's coaching. All right, I'm pissed off now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take a break. That's coaching, for God's sakes. Holy mackerel. I'm pissed. Now I'm pissed. Hey, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and then we'll get back into this. But, hey, one area that they've had success, go back to last season, the Milwaukee Admirals. Hockey is now, they dropped the puck, and the season's underway. Get your tickets now. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. It was good to hear Center Ice on the other night, too, with Aaron Sims. We got to get him back on the program. Milwaukee Admirals Hockey, back at it, and in their quest for a Calder Cup, go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That's MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. I need to regroup. We got more after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Just all those little things. We had drop balls. It's just all that stuff adds up. It's all the little details. And when you don't go out there and play with great fundamentals and do all the little things right, it's hard to win a game in this league. And we just put ourselves behind the sticks way too many times.
I got to go take something. It's frustrating. It really is. We'll get back into what Matt LaFleur had to say momentarily. If you are looking for cleaning supplies this time of year, you might be looking for stuff to polish up the car and keep all the grap off of it. But whether it's cleaning supplies for the car, ceramics, boats, motorcycles, indoors, as you start to wipe down all the countertops and stuff and get ready for the holiday season, don't forget about our friends at Wabam. Go to GetWabam, W-A-B-A-M. GetWabam.com. That's GetWabam.com. Or if you are a company and you're looking for janitorial supplies, they have a lot of that as well. Go to GetWabam.com. That is GetWabam, W-A-B-A-M, GetWabam.com. I'm going to give you the grades coming up here in just a few, so hang in there because I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the offensive and defensive things. But I want to get back to Matt LaFleur, and he talked about starting Zach Tom because David Bakhtiari could not play in the game this past weekend against the defensive end Montez Sweat. How much did that force them to change some of the calls in the play sheet?
No, it definitely, there were some plays that definitely got ruled out. That I don't care who you're putting over on that left side. Montez Sweat he's a really good player. There was going to be some chips regardless of whether Dave was in there or not. But certainly there were some plays that we made just kind of one-way plays to account for that. And certainly didn't want to put Zach in a tough position. I commend him for his ability to go in there and play the way he did. So I thought he did a nice job.
David Bakhtiari, do they got to now go back to every other day with him or what?
Well, I think that's definitely a discussion that's going to be had with all of us, myself, Dave, our medical staff, in terms of, what's best.
I don't get it. You either can play or you can't. It'll be 2 years. It's been a year and 10 months and still issues. I don't know. The Romeo Dubs missed play, the deep pass. Is that what Aaron Rodgers means when he says, hey, again, missed assignments?
No, we ran a keeper, and we actually got called for a holding penalty. So it would have been negated regardless. Ran a keeper, and we tagged the corner post on it where Rome stems in, up, and runs the post. Well, they busted the coverage, and there was nobody, in that deep third or deep half of the field. And I think these are some of the things that you're just going to go through with younger players. And, you would love for him just to notice that there's nobody out there, throw his hand up. But I can't fault him for that. I think he's trying to do everything perfect. And, I think that's just something that comes with experience, where guys might see that void and throw your hand up and go catch a touchdown. But it wouldn't have mattered regardless. We got called for a holding penalty, and was first and 19 or first and 20. Sorry.
Okay. I have to admit, I have not listened to this answer, but if I hear that's unacceptable, Ben will have to do the rest of the show because I may go drink myself into oblivion. Okay. So here's the question. Why did you only run a total of 12 run plays combined between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon?
Well, first of all, they counted a couple of those runs as passes. I was like, man, we targeted Aaron Jones 10 times in the pass game. But 2 of those for sure were so, and one was a 12-yard gain, the other was an 8-yard gain. But really, when you look at it, because trust me, I've gone back and looked at every call very, very critically in terms of, run it, pass it, whatever. And I think we had 40 plays before we went into 2-minute mode, and of those 40 plays, I want to say we had 18 run called. Now we're some of those we threw the run solutions, which were pretty effective. We did it. Matter of fact, on the lone touchdown drive, our second drive of the game, we hit Allen on a little stab route where Romeo did a great job cracking the safety coming down and got like a 12-yard gain on that. So, and just looking at the effectiveness of those run solutions, every one of them was effective. So I want him to take those opportunities, but you've got to do a better job. We got to do a better job on third down. And you're right. Are your runs going to get limited a little bit more when you're sitting there and you're in 1st and 20 or you're in 2nd and 16? I want to say it was the third series. Maybe we started off with a run and we lose 6 yards right off the jump. Matter of fact, we tried to run it after that. Ironically enough, we ran a draw and we got called for holding. So now it's, 2nd and 25. It's just, we put ourselves in so many bad situations that it was hard to get it going. And, it's more about, we did try to get 33 the ball in other ways. Ran a screen to him on the second play of the game. Then we definitely spit it out to him a little bit in the pass game. He made a heck of a catch, on the off schedule, turning it up the sideline. That was an unbelievable play it was great. It was a great ball, but it was a great catch by Aaron Jones. So, we're going to try to get him the ball and, but we need more plays. You need more opportunities. You need more than, I think there were 6 minutes left in the game. We had 40 plays.
Thank God he didn't say that's unacceptable. Some of the stuff I agree with. They had some really down and distance issues that didn't allow it, but I still think a lot of that was unacceptable. And the other question, here we go. 39 out of 47 snaps you're in shotgun. Why?
No, I mean, that certainly it has played a little part into it, but I don't want to sit up here and make an excuse for it. So it is what it is. We're going to do whatever we can to put our guys in the best position possible. And, you gotta always adapt, I think, to the circumstances in front of you.
Is that the way you want this offense to run? With that much
Potentially, there's some games, like we go back a couple weeks ago, that where you recognize when teams are going to have some gun checks, and so potentially it could be. I think it's fluid. It's every week could be a different deal in terms of how you want to attack somebody.
So
I understand that, but the bottom line is he's so much better. Rodgers is so much better under center with play action. When it comes to the fake, when it comes to drawing in defenses, freezing safeties, he's just so much better there. And I just wish you'd come to admit it. And, the next question was, would it help the play action game if you just stuck his ass under center more often?
Potentially. Certainly, I think that a lot of our pass game right now has been spitting the ball out quickly for some of those run solutions. And, we're looking at it, I promise you, very, very closely in terms of how we think we can move the football. Because I don't think anybody wants to be where we're at right now from an offensive standpoint. And in order to get more plays, we have to do a better job, being more manageable third downs and convert when those opportunities are there.
In other words, you have to be better on first and second down. Maury Rodgers sucks. Is he going to stay back there as a punt returner?
Yeah, no, I think that's something that we're going to evaluate for sure. We are evaluating. We're talking about it in terms of what we want to do in that regard. Certainly, I think we do have a lot of confidence in Amari, his ability to field the ball, but you can't put the ball on the ground.
What?
He knows that, and he feels.
What? We got confidence in him. And what? Why? Where in the world would your confidence in Amari Rodgers as a punt returner come from? Don't get it.
Yeah, I think the confidence comes from the practice and what we see on a daily basis. And if you guys were out there for our special teams periods, much like throughout training camp, I mean, those are as live as it gets now. Those guys are going hard, and but yeah, we're going to definitely take a look at that.
Ben, every now and then I go up the street. There is a terrific batting cage near me, and I crank it up to the 90-mile-an-hour range, and I just love going up and hitting. And I since I was a kid, I've always used a wood bat. And, man, when I go up there and I get into a groove, I just kick ass. I mean, I'm hitting line drives all over the place. It doesn't make me a Major League Baseball player. So to say Amari Rodgers, oh, yeah, hey, in practice, man, he's zipping it. You bet. Those are lively. But in the game, you can't put it on the ground. God.
Do his answers get longer the worse it gets?
There's a lot of, and stuttering, and it sounds like he wants to say, but he doesn't want to say because of the red china that is. But you got to remember, when the media is asking questions, we're asking a lot of questions that a lot of fans want to know, and you're double talking and BSing fans who know better. You know what I mean? It's, I appreciated the run response because he's right. They were in some bad down and distances, and in addition to that, the ones that they did have successful, they usually had some penalties on. They put themselves in bad situations. But when he says, "Yeah, we got to convert on third down," well, in other words, it's what you didn't say. You go back to, why don't you put him under center on first and second down and have play action be more effective? And he doesn't answer the question. It's crap. It's almost like, how do you sit in the same room with somebody that's got breath like that? It's all spewing crap. I want to get down to also when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the defense. Stay tuned. I'm ready to blow a blood vessel here, man. This is crazy. But it's stuff that we gotta discuss. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stenny, second and National Walker's Point Friday night. They have the costume contest. We're going to be down there judging that. Hope to see you down there all dressed up. It's going to be a fun time. That's our friends at Stenny's, second and National Walker's Point, downtown Milwaukee. Hope to see you there. I'm going to be there with the wings and the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread, a couple of beverages. It's going to be a lot of fun.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers will return to practice tomorrow to get ready for the Buffalo Bills this Sunday night. Matt LaFleur asked how concerned he is about Packers left tackle David Bakhtiari after he had to sit out the Washington game with more knee troubles.
Oh, yeah. Anytime a guy doesn't play in a game and he got through the week of practice and, Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go. And we went out and they worked him out in pregame. Didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
Right guard John Runyon said last night that rookie Zach Tom, the 4th-round pick out of Wake Forest, did a good job filling in last week for Bakhtiari at left tackle.
Zach got reps at left tackle all week, so I feel like putting him in there, he came in, played pretty well. I think it's something to build on, and he finally got to see full game what live bullets look like, and I think it's only going to set us up for further down the road. God forbidding something else happens. I'm confident in Zach stepping up and taking over.
On defense, Rashawn Gary had to leave Sunday's game with a concussion when he collided helmet-to-helmet with a teammate. That meant more snaps for rookie J.J. Enagbare, who says despite the falling to 3-4, the Packers are confident they can turn things around.
Yeah, it's still pretty early on. We have a long season to play, so I definitely feel like we definitely going to come together as a whole and pretty much show the world with the best defense out there.
That's linebacker J.J. Enagbare from Lambeau Field. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Talking about some of the things Matt LaFleur had to say during the break, this portion of the program, brought to you by our friends at the Sunset Grill in Pewaukee, coming up on November 9th. Wednesday, November 9th. We're going to be there, actually, with the huddle. So stop by. Mark that on your calendar if you live out in the Pewaukee area. We're going to be out there on Wednesday, November 9th. Sunset Grill in Pewaukee. Good food. Looking forward to heading out there. By the way, we're going to be at Kelly's Bleachers in Big Bend tomorrow night. Going to be there tomorrow night, 6 to 8. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle, brought to you by Bud Light. Going to be at Kelly's Bleachers tomorrow night. So put that on your calendar. There you go. So I want to get back to Matt LaFleur before we get to the top of the hour, talking about why the defense, why can't they get off the field in the second half of ball games?
Yeah, no, that was that's something that we looked at, and it's definitely the consistency that which we play, and gave up a lot of third down conversions in the second half. I think they had some long drives, 15-play drive, and I think the penalties are again kind of, we had some situations where I think it was 2nd and 6, we get a TFL, it's about to be 3rd and 7, we get called for a defensive holding, first down. So we got to do a better job of making sure we get all 11 guys on the same page, doing the responsibility, because there were some times where we had some miscommunication, and that stuff that leads to drive extending plays and explosive plays, and you can't have it.
Yeah. Is it just because maybe teams are making adjustments against this Joe Barry defense at halftime?
Well, we kind of adjust. I mean, we got super aggressive in the second half with a lot of cover zero. So, I mean, we definitely did adjust, but it just was obviously not quite enough. And I think, what I say, 7 drives in the first half, and we given up 10 points. I mean, that's a lot of possessions for an offense. So we got to do a better job playing complementary football, because it's not at the standard that is sustainable for winning. I mean, there's moments here and there and in every phase, and but the consistency at which we go out there and play and coach, and it just hasn't been there.
All right. There you go. That's pretty much it. Yeah, they talked about the Hail Mary and everything at the end of the game. Who the hell cares?
All right. You guys were easy tonight. See ya.
Yep. Well, there's a lot to kind of go over there. Some of the stuff, Red China, you're not going to get any answers. We still don't know is Bakhtiari going to play or not play? Still don't know that. I will give you a positive. Zach Tom was the highest graded blocker and offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers. He graded out the highest, 66.1 overall, 82.2 when it came to pass blocking. Run blocking, he didn't do as well, 47.8. John Runyon, better in the pass than he was in the run, 83.3 in the pass, 52.1 in the run. Josh Myers, 83.6. Not a bad way to go. Overall, as pass blocker goes, he was the best, 54.9 in the run blocking category. Yosh Nijman on the right tackle side, switching over, 69.3 in pass, 62.8 in run. Better or just as good. I mean, stable, which you would assume he's only going to get better. Then you move down to Elton Jenkins. Elton Jenkins is just struggling this year. Maybe he just doesn't have his knee under him yet. got our power rankings coming up here in the next hour. And I want to get back to the phone calls. Now that you've heard what Matt LaFleur had to say about numerous things. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Hit us up. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show yet to go. Hey, don't forget about it's Taco Tuesday at Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews on County Road K in Oconomowoc. Oh, good stuff. Stop out the Boondocks. Taco Tuesday, baby. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Packers coach Matt LaFleur admitted yesterday he is concerned about David Bakhtiari after the former All-Pro did not play in Sunday's loss to Washington. Bakhtiari continuing to have issues with his surgically repaired knee that cost him much of last season and the start to this year, but he had started 4 straight games and practiced all 3 days last week leading up to the game.
Oh, yeah. Anytime a guy doesn't play in a game and he got through the week of practice and, Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go. And we went out and they worked him out in pregame and didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
His injury not the only concern. So too is the health at wide receiver. Already without Randall Cobb and Christian Watson. Leading receiver Alan Lazard has a shoulder injury that left him in a sling yesterday. His status for Sunday's game at Buffalo uncertain. Team back in the field for practice tomorrow. Green Bay sitting just 3-4 in the year, having lost 3 in a row. They haven't lost 4 in a row since Aaron Rodgers' first year as a starter back in 2008. Turning to Wisconsin, they are on their bye week. That's after taking care of Purdue last week, 35-24. They're going to return to face 6-2 Maryland next week at Camp Randall.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Bucs back in action tomorrow night as they welcome Kevin Durant and Brooklyn to town. Milwaukee sitting at 2-0 on the year. The Nets 1-2. And Wisconsin can host UW Eau Claire in exhibition action on Sunday at the Kohl Center. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
We're blowing through it today. Hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show. That fast. I guess if you're looking for a silver lining, JF says, could be worse. Could be the Denver Broncos right now. Expectations were through the roof, but they're calling for Hackett's head already in Colorado. Both teams buried under an overpaid quarterback's contract. Trying to look at the brighter side. Dennis says 100% spot on. Breaking news. The 3rd consecutive embarrassing loss, head coach Matt LaFleur diagnosed with an incurable career-ending coaching disease. His disease was caused by many poor decisions, leading to the lack of trust and respect by his players. Goes on from there. Oof. I said, memo to LaFleur, every player on your team knows the dysfunction of the offense, and the result of it is your reconfigured coaching staff that isn't getting you. You have the power to fix it, and they're not gelling. Every player on your team knows the underperforming, unaggressive defense because you chose Joe Barry over Jerry Gray. You have the power to fix it. Every player on your team knows that Amari Rodgers should never be a part of any special teams unit ever. You have the power to fix it. Every player on your team is tired of you blaming them for not working hard enough because you refuse to admit and correct your poor coaching and player decisions. You have the power to stop it. You choose not to do so.
Confidence comes from the practice.
Pat says Matt LaFleur is now sounding like an excuse maker rather than an intuit coach. If he does have any sense and sensibility, he's not showing it to us fans. It's concerning that Dubs seems to be getting worse. Kevin says, bad defensive coordinator. Rodgers not coming to get acquainted with the new wide receiver group, not running the damn ball, plenty of blame to go around. David says, this is why I love you, because you're calling a spade a spade. This team sucks. Everybody knows it. Everybody's trying to put Band-Aids and flowers all over this and in their, I can't say that. It's not smelling any better. It's a turd. Carrie says, Aaron's a consistent facial expression of not good leadership, in my opinion. I don't worry too much about that because everybody gets pissed off every now and then. Kathleen says Rodgers needs to go to the practices and the OTAs and be more acquainting to the younger players and be more of a leader. It goes on, man. Holy mackerel. Gutekunst, horrible at evaluating talent. Don, a lot has changed in a year. No improvement. Front office stinks. Jody says, shame on management for not trading Rodgers off last season. It was the right thing to do for the future. Now we're straddled with his contract, and we're looking for the next 5 to 10 years of being lean. Is it possible for a team to have a bad year as a Packers fan? We've been spoiled for so many. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, William. The problem is you can't afford it when you're coming to the end of the tunnel with your quarterback, you know? Alex says it's simple. If we were really owned by an actual GM and owner that would make moves, we would not be in this situation. Let me pause on that for a minute. Be careful what you wish for. Okay. There's a lot of good owners out there, but you could have a Haslam, you could have a Ross, you could have a Jerry Jones, you could have a Mark Davis, you could have a Daniel Snyder. I just went through, you could have a Stan Kroenke. Now, Kroenke did go all in, almost to the detriment of the team this year, but they got a championship out of it. And maybe that's what you could use right now. But there's this level of owner thing always is fascinating to me. Because when you don't have ownership making dumb moves and saying dumb things, you love it. But when the team is struggling and you want to make a move, you blame it on ownership. Every team works in the same parameters. Every team makes the same moves. Every team has the same salary cap. So I don't blame an owner. The general manager's job is to put the team together. The president of player personnel is to put the team together. I don't go to owners for that. Owners own the team. They're the money men. But a lot of these owners are businessmen and business conglomerates with minority owners, and they don't know what the F they're talking about when it comes to player personnel evaluation. You know, God knows Jerry Jones at least played football. Go back to his days. At least he got it a little bit, and he's been nothing but a meddler and a horse's ass ever since Jimmy Johnson left. So I don't go there. And some of these guys, look at a guy like Mike Brown. Mike Brown came up under Paul Brown. Paul Brown knew coaching and knew football. Paul was a decent owner. Mike's an idiot. Same with Mark Davis. His dad knew football. His dad was immersed in football. He was kind of crazy, but he knew football. Mark's an idiot. Mark's an owner. He's an inheritance baby. I don't go with this. You got to have an owner to be successful, you know, because the Packers have been successful. There's a lot of franchises that would kill to have their level of success. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Tim. Tim, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, thanks, Bill, for taking my call. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with some things. One consolation as I look across the NFC, especially the Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there's a lot of teams that are just terrible. I mean, Tom Brady said it well. There's just a lot of bad football. I think the NFL overall is not a good product anymore. There's good players and it's good, some good games, but I think the grade of the NFL is not very good. I look at the Packers, starts with the offensive and defensive line. Neither unit is played very well at all year. I'm not sure about our defensive coordinator if we can't turn this around, but I don't know. It's I don't know. Maybe they can get it turned around. I'm not seeing it though. Yeah. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate your.
All right, appreciate it, man. I don't really see them turning it around. This is it. This is about as big gets coming up on Sunday night. Because you are either going to come out fighting and show like you've got something, and prove to the rest of the world, including your own fan base, that you've got pride, you've got self-respect, you've got the attention to detail, you've got the work ethic, whatever it is you want to throw in there, but you've got it. Otherwise, if you go out and just get your ass handed to you and beat badly, then you're going to prove to the world, including your fan base, you've given up. So why should they spend any money on you to go see you? You've got yours. Let them keep theirs. Rhino says on Twitter, an owner would have been less apologetic to the tenures of guys like Mike McCarthy, Capers, and Thompson, which may have accelerated moves in the draft picks that we never had a chance at otherwise. Rhino, I think it was a year. It was a year off. The year off of Ted Thompson, the year off of Mike McCarthy. I think it was about a year. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like he was there for 5 more years after things got, bad. It was a year. Maybe a year earlier, things would have happened. But you also don't have an owner running down the hall saying we got to have Johnny Manziel the way Jerry Jones was doing. You can go through the list of owners. Look at the McCaskey family. What have they produced? Nothing but erroneous nepotism over the years. I mean, right here in your own division, the Ford family, the hiring of a guy like Matt Millen because they fell in love with him, the idiocy that was thereafter. Specific owners and some owners, because they are so successful in business, they are prideful and they will not make a move because they know their move is the one that's going to be scrutinized as the owner. And they love it when they win and they want to be there to hoist a trophy and get champagne sprayed on them, but they don't want to be anywhere near scrutiny when it comes to actually, answering for whom the bell tolls. So I really have an appreciation and a setup here for the way things are done in Green Bay. It's not always to your liking. And if it was, you'd be winning championships every year. There's people right now screaming for Robert Kraft's head because, he's given them a bunch of championships, but he's ruined the team since then. And he's off getting married instead of paying attention to his team. And, Robert Kraft, I think, has done a pretty good job, even though he's kind of gotten in harm's way when it comes to his own self-character. So
that's a good point, though. The whole marriage thing.
Yeah.
Many are wondering.
Yep. So I I like the setup. I just think that not every, and I'm not making excuses. It's the truth. It's the reality. Not every move is going to be perfect. And when it doesn't work out, everybody wants to scream, for your head. And when things are good, things are great. You're awesome. In Ted, we trust. In Goody, we trust. In David Stearns, we trust. And then when things don't work out, suddenly the guy's an idiot. I told you so. Just, I'm trying to just look at the somewhere in between gray reality that is. ESPN Steve says Mrs. Ford walked into the end of season meeting one year and fired everyone. Yeah. And sometimes it's the continuity that can get you back on top. Aaron says, with the trade deadline approaching, what does Goody do? Sit and do nothing again? Or do you think that some moves are going to be made? I think there's going to be moves. I think what you are going to look at is this. If this team comes out and shows fight, now maybe they're already trying to work on something. I don't know. But, and to me, look, the Jets, they lose a running back. They make a deal the next day. The Packers have lost 3 wideouts in an area that was already sketchy to begin the season, and nothing's been done. You signed crap to a practice squad. You haven't made a real move. So, and if you're sitting there saying, well, we're going to hang on to these draft choices, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're hanging on to unproven players and not going after proven players. It makes no sense. It just doesn't. Because once you start to hang on to unproven players, then you're basically saying we're building towards the future. You're building towards the future. 877-867-1670. And that's not what people want to hear. This is from Kyle. Kyle says, I see the porn bots have attacked us again. It's because the Green Bay Packers are in red China, so they figure it's open. Might as well go ahead and do so. I have no idea, Kyle, what that means, but okay, great. Yeah, I saw them over there.
Oh, if they're back, Bill, people are going to wonder if you've lost the locker room, like LaFleur.
Yeah, no, I put the block to that as soon as I could. I was a little bit slow. I was a little bit slow on the trigger when I saw that happening. If you don't know what we're talking about, you got to go over to the Bud Light live stream and check it out. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, all that kind of stuff. So it happens every now and then. 877-867-1670. This is, let's see here. This is, who's this from? Kurt. Kurt says, hey, Bill, could it be Aaron wants shotgun all the time and he's afraid to tell him to get under center? That's why he won't answer the question. That's from Kurt. Possibly. I think anything's on the table at this point. I think we want to look at Aaron Rodgers as this. He blew Mike McCarthy out of town. He's the guy that, was focusing on Devontae all the time. Now you kind of know why. Was focusing on Devontae all the time. He's the guy that's been the problem. And rather than say, and look, I agree in the postseason, it hasn't been great over the last couple of postseasons. I admit that. I'm not disagreeing. But I think it's too convenient to look, and he is the guy. I always talk about the players on the field being the ones that have to execute what's going on. But he's looking over to the sidelines, go, what the F are we doing? To say if he was changing the plays at the line of scrimmage and running his own thing, I don't think he'd be talking about that, hey, I didn't call those plays. I like them, but I didn't call them. I don't think he'd be looking at Matt LaFleur going, what the F are we doing? Now if he's talking about, hey, what are we doing? Why aren't you coaching these guys up better? He's got to take some of that responsibility. He's got to take some of that responsibility because he was the guy that chose to have Cobby coach him up. I can go through that laundry list over and over and over. It was a lot of reasons as to why not. Always look for guys with a positive. We got to do this. We got to do that. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to fix this. This is what I have to do. Look for the positive. Look for the upside. Rodgers in the beginning of the training camp, if you will, doesn't like joint practices, doesn't want to play in the preseason, doesn't feel needs to be there for the OTAs and mini camps, doesn't want an off-season workout program with the team, wants to do his own thing, does all the reasons not to do something. I think there's some legitimacy there. 877-867-1670. Hang in there. Excuse me. Got a lot more to get to. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Skipper Buds. Get a hold of my buddy Todd over here at the one in Pewaukee. And if you have not gotten your boat winterized yet, you may already be in trouble. But I did. I got it in there. I got it done early. And I know it's safe and sound, sleeping right now in a completely shrunk wrap. It's outside, but that's okay because the thing's been winterized. I love it. Love it over there. Get a hold of Todd because they also have some year-end clearance stuff. They've got some boats that they are going to be getting rid of. Not getting rid of, but, it's that time of year. You're not going to sit on these big numbers. You want to break them down a little bit. You want to sell them a little bit cheaper. You want to move the inventory. You got to start making room for the 2023s. So that's what they're doing right now. Get a hold of Todd over there, 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. That's our friends at Skipper Bud. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Hey, our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin reminding you that not only do they have some great deals going on right now, and they do, but Pella is, and I've been telling you this for a while now, since I had the patio door replaced down in the great room, and I was down there again today, just to kind of see, for lack of a better term, just to kind of see. I went down there. It's still sitting right. I keep the temperature in the great room at like 69 degrees, still sitting right there, no problem. And it is not fluctuated at all with the temperature going up and down. It's been perfect. And if you go into a Pella this Thursday at the corners of Brookfield, they've got the Booze and Ghouls going on. And Saturday at the corners from 3 to 5, you have Trick or Treat going on for the kids, scratch off cards for up to 35% off installation. So if you're in the area, in the Milwaukee area, into the showrooms, we'll say, stop in for Trick or Treats, and when you pick up one of their scratch off cards, you can get up to 35% off installation. But you got to stop in to get that. Okay. However, I do recommend calling them. So whether it's adding value to your home, making your home more economical, the beautification of your home, different frames, different types of indoor and outdoor matching up of the colors, so to speak. You can also go with different hardware, roll screens, slider windows. I mean, there's so many different types to get. Pella's got a great assortment, but you can't do anything if you don't call them. 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA, PELLA-WI. Or just simply go to PELLAWI.com for all the details. Again, PELLAWI.com for all the details. Good stuff from our friends over there at Pella's. Kenny says, this is what you get when you don't have a true owner. You're hanging on to draft picks and being conservative. I can't argue with that a lot. I think good owners hire good people and get out of their way and don't demand you do something. You got to make sure that the deal works for everybody. I do think, though, this is the one thing I will agree with. If you got an owner, okay, and the owner knows, hey, we've only got 1, 2, 3 years left with Aaron Rodgers, and maybe the owner is the conduit of communication between the front office and Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he's sitting in, with him on the plane or next to him in the locker or having dinner with the guy. Who knows? And saying, hey, look, you give me the commitment you're here for the next couple of years, barring major injury, and I'll give you the commitment that I'll push all the chips to the middle of the table. Maybe that conversation goes down. But beyond that, I think, you're kind of right now at the whim of the quarterback, because if you go out and make a deal and the quarterback turns around and says, I'm quitting, give me my money, I'm going to walk away from $59 million, but I got a buyout of this amount, then I think you're screwed. Suddenly you've got a bunch of talent. You got to just cut loose, and you've got a whole year or 2 or 3 or whatever happens to be worth of dead money. So you gotta think about what you're going to do. But I think you also have to start with the communication with the quarterback. By the way, speaking of that, Ian Rappaport, the Raiders trading the defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins to the Cowboys in exchange for a draft pick compensation. Some key defensive depth up front for the Cowboys. So you've got the Raiders are trading away a defensive tackle for a draft choice. The Raiders are now conceding.
Trade for Devontae?
Right? If you're trading for draft choices now and not getting players in return, you're kind of conceding, unless you've got an incredible depth at that particular position. Gator says Goody kissing Rodgers' ass all the time helps nothing. No, it really does. It's not kissing his ass. It's you got to know. You got to be able to work with the guy that you're paying all the money to. So if you cannot find out if your quarterback wants to come back, that's on you. You there's this perception that Aaron Rodgers runs things. To a certain extent, you're right. It runs off of what he decides. But that's what you've set yourself up for when you get one of the best players to ever play the game. I mean, you've got to, because if he's not coming back, then what are you doing? You don't go trade for all these pieces for him and then he walks away and you can't afford him and you got to get rid of everybody. And you can't, and people say, well, just put Jordan Love in. Come on. Just stop. Jordan Love is not a good quarterback. You can lose with him, I agree, but it's what do you want? If you want to just chuck it, if you're that fan that says, screw it, no shot, to hell with them, chuck it, start the rebuild, you got to remember what you're asking for. You could end up look at where some of these teams have been. The Rams were nothing. They traded for Matthew Stafford. They couldn't find themselves since Kurt Warner left. They couldn't find a quarterback. They finally get a guy that's serviceable, and they can win a championship. You look at the Lions, how they've been toiling for years and years and years because they couldn't just figure it out. Look at the Dolphins until they finally Tua got them straight. They finally got a quarterback they kind of believe in. Put some pieces around them. Look at Cincinnati. They've been to a couple of Super Bowls, never won one. Went through just a long stretch of just craptastic quarterback play. Didn't commit to it. Look at the Broncos. Broncos have been looking for a quarterback ever since Peyton left. And even his last year when they won a championship, they won it via the defense. They didn't win it via the quarterback. Just look at the teams that have been searching for quarterback play. You look at Atlanta. Matt Ryan had a decent run. He hasn't been anything since. Cleveland.
Bill,
go ahead.
Is there a number in the loss column this season that would lead you to be okay with that decision to change quarterbacks? In season.
The only way I'm changing quarterbacks is if you decide to make a trade and you're going to head in a different direction and give Jordan Love the reins next year. Otherwise, you're not doing it. I don't, I wouldn't be doing it. I mean, why? Because all you're going to do is give Jordan Love a little bit of experience, and maybe you can add some trade value to him if Rodgers is coming back. But otherwise, you're going to piss off Rodgers. You're throwing away next season because he's not going to want to be here anymore. And some people say they don't care. It's professional, but come on, there is something to this. No. You really have to understand what your next season is going to hold before you make that move. And if you believe, let's just, and again, I'm not one to throw out, if Rodgers does play out the remainder of this, the 3-year extension, so you got 2 more years left, I'm not throwing that away. I'm going to try to regroup next year, try to do something with Bakhtiari's contract, try to move a couple of pieces around and get Rodgers the weapons he needs. Because what you can assume is that Quay Walker, Devontae White are only going to get better. Your defense is only going to be better. And then I'm going to try to find the pieces that Aaron Rodgers needs to be successful. But I'm not pissing him off just to piss him off just because. Let's do this. We'll come back. We'll get to the phone calls. Gerard, Adam, and everybody on hold. Hang in there. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This fall, it's Give and Take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at paysbig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Especially with Rodgers. So because he's so picayune, And you can look back at the situation. All Packer fans, we should look back at this situation. We were saying when we did have Devontae Adams that we needed another weapon, and Goody didn't go out and get the weapon and wouldn't sacrifice the draft choices then. When we had the potential to, to win the Super Bowl, right? He didn't do it.
Right.
So, and then last year in the championship game, when Lazard was running across the field wide open and he forced it to Adams, which practically ended the game, that shows you something about Lazard, which we all knew was a number 3 or 4.
Right.
So where does this go? You have all these situations. So if he doesn't make the move, what does that tell you about Rodgers and LaFleur? And if he does, and it's not good enough, what is that, fooling the fans? Or what? You see where I'm going with this, Bill?
Right. It's a great question because you really are kind of stuck between the rock and the hard place. If you make a move, are you making a move that you really believe is going to help the team and not just be a cosmetic move? Are you making a move to say, hey, look, we're going to do everything we can to go all in? Are you making a move or not making a move, we'll say, because you don't believe this team can win? And therefore you're hanging on to these draft choices like grim death, or maybe you're going to move up in the draft. Who knows if they do that? But yeah, you've dug yourself a hole. And now it's all about how you dig out of it. I would love to hear from Brian Gutekunst at this point. I mean, I know he doesn't have to speak, but I'd love to hear from him at some point.
Yeah.
And to come down
that
out
would
of the,
be the guy.
out of the tower and say, hey, look, we believe in this. We believe we've got this, and this, and be honest about it and say, but we do need help here. And I'm doing everything I can right now to make a deal.
But doesn't what he did in the past to show you what he's probably going to do, and that's nothing?
Yeah,
you
but
see what I mean?
I agree
he
with
had
that.
the opportunity, Bill, to get a real good wide receiver last year and really give Rodgers another weapon when we had the team.
Right.
And then he didn't.
Nope, I agree.
So
and I also think,
why would you make him, why would you think now that he's going to make a move?
Because your back's against the wall with Rodgers. You're either in or you're out. You can't be, you're either pregnant or you're not. You can't be kind of. You're either in with him or not. And last year with the uncertainty of Rodgers and the contract and such, that's how we found ourselves in part of this situation, was because you couldn't make a move. You had to wait to figure out what you had in return as to whether or not he was actually going to be here. And that was part of the problem. That's part of what put us right here. So now that as Rodgers stated, I'm going to be here, I'm going to retire as a Packer. He wants to be here. Now you just, as long as you believe he's going to be around, and there's no reason to think that he won't, now I think you go, you know what? We got to go all in. We're going to get in for this year. We're going to get in for next year. We're going to get in for the following years. This is a 3-year process of going all in. We have got to get a championship before this guy walks away. And I think that's what you do. That's the way you have to approach it. Whereas last year, we didn't know if he was in or out. We had Devontae, blah, blah, blah. Now if you're all in, you better go all in, because there is no tomorrow. And that kind of would be the area that I would go. Go ahead.
I'm sorry for talking on you. If he doesn't make a move, then what are Packer fans to think? You see what I mean?
Right.
He's figuring, they're still going to go to the games. It's not, they're not going to come on now. They're going to go to the games no matter what. So that's all the revenue and the money coming in. So, come on now. If he doesn't make a move, what do we think? If he does make, you see with you, if they even got 2 good receivers now, I feel there's something missing. I can't pinpoint it yet. I think there's something missing, and I think even if they make the moves, Bill, they're not going too far. They'll be 500 maybe. They're battling to be probably 2 or 3 games below 500 now, but if they make a move, maybe they end up 500, and that even hurts them even worse. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know how long I've been a Packer fan, but I can't figure this one out because you can't. No one's giving you something to say to cling on to and say, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
No one's doing it.
No, I appreciate it, man. I look at it this way. Okay, this is where I go if they don't make a move. You got to know why. And I think you have to ask yourself that question and also have to have Gutekunst answer that question. Why didn't you? Okay. I would start first and foremost with, did you have another team to make a move with? Because it takes two to tango. You can't just say, go make a move and then it not happen. Say, okay, look, well, they just wanted too much. Well, what do you mean they wanted too much? Well, what did they want that you could not afford? Well, they wanted 3 draft choices instead of 2. Okay. Tell us why. That type of thing. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the reason they don't make a move. Now, if he says, well, we feel we're good with the guys we got, then we all know that doesn't pass the smell test because nobody's good with the guys you got. Nobody's good with the current player. And I think we know we're all talking about, right? We're not talking about going out and getting 2 offensive linemen. We're talking about going out and getting weapons for this offense because the offense stinks. I think that's what we're all talking about, right? So that if they don't make a move and you say we're good with what we got, well, there's no way in hell you are. In other words, you're saying we don't believe that even if we got somebody and paid additional money down the road, it isn't going to matter. It's over. So there's got to be reasons why you do and why you do not make a move. 877-867-1670. Stick around. We got a lot more to get to. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at New Male Medical. They could use some of this right now. I'll tell you that in one way, shape, or form. New Male Medical, more energy, better feeling, kind of emotionally up and down and all that kind of stuff. It'll just put you right there at ease and get you better sleep at night, make you feel more rested and refreshed during the day. You're good to go. Or if you got the ED thing going on, you know it. If you're the partner of somebody that has it, you know it. You can get a 98% success rate with New Male Medical, but you can't do anything if you don't call. 414-455-4451, 414-455-4451. That's the New Male Medical Center or the All-in-One Weight Loss Program. We're creeping up on November, man. Next week, November. I can't believe it either. Next week, November. You know what that means? Here comes the pies, the cakes, the cookies, going to grandma's house for Thanksgiving. We got all the extra turkey sandwiches. Then we're into December, and all of a sudden, here come the holiday parties. Here comes all the different fun and frivolity that we have for that. Holidays, cakes, cookies, more pies. Next thing you know, bam, tank ass. Got to give him a call. 414-455-4451. We'll be back after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Adela in the title tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take
the Game Day Bus
to Titletown. Let's go.
Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now, Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down. Make no payments and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Get on your ATV and hit the trails in Humbird, Wisconsin. Moto right up to the Scholze Family Beef Farm Store or order online at ScholzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers spent the day in meetings reviewing their loss to Washington. How are the players handling the corrections? Running back A.J. Dillon.
Just kind of seeing the vibe. I think everybody's taking the coaching well, I would say. And I think everybody is able to buy into the process of, going out there and, attacking it day by day. And I think that, definitely says a lot about the guys that we have in there.
At 3-4, Green Bay is now tied with the Chicago Bears, who upset the Patriots 33-14 last night in Foxborough on Monday Night Football. On offense, the Packers are a little short at wide receiver. Randall Cobb an IR with an ankle injury. Christian Watson with a hamstring. Matt LaFleur was asked about Alan Lazard, who had to exit Sunday's game at FedEx Field.
He hurt his shoulder, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that and see how it heals throughout the course of the week.
Packers rookie receiver Romeo Doubs had a rough day, going 0 for 4 with targeted passes, but says there's plenty of games left to play for whoever is out there.
Things will start to click regardless of how old or young the room is. And again, this was just another one of those games where you can just figure out ways to learn from it and just be a better player moving forward.
That's receiver Romeo Doubs. From Lambeau Field, I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Social House, Haus, over there on Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls. Great place to go. And if you're going to start off your day on a Sunday, better than what we've been starting them off with Packers football, go there on Sunday mornings, get yourself some breakfast, get a cocktail, and you get the free pancakes. Now, that's the way to start off your Sunday. That'll set you up for any ultimate Packers failure you possibly have. But they also have, obviously, a newly renovated bar. The parking lot's being enlarged. They just doing so many great things over there, Dan Della and the gang, and they're a big supporter of Fisher House, Wisconsin. So stop in. Social House, Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls. Stop in and tell Dan and the gang we said hi. Really, really good stuff. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. This one's from Ricky, who says, this doesn't matter whether you have an owner or you don't have an owner. If you've got a general manager who's afraid to pull the trigger and doesn't want to get undercut, he's not going to pull the trigger, not going to help this team, and not going to do anything that is going to make this team better. I'll stop there real quick because every general manager wants to make their team better. Okay? Let's keep it real. Okay? Everybody wants to get better. They all want to win. It's just whether or not you make the actual right moves and what your philosophy is. Do you hold on to draft choices like grim death? If you think that you have the innate ability to be this incredible drafter and everything you touch is gold, well, then you're hanging on to them. If you don't, then, and you're hanging on to draft choices, then you need to realize where your shortcomings are and go out and make a move to get better, find proven players, and get rid of the draft choices that really haven't amounted to much anyway. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Luke. Luke, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill, relax, big fella. It's just like a job,
Yep.
You just go to work. And I guess for me, listening to the interviews and listening to your show, which I love, by the way, I think this starts the day after the draft. And I know Aaron Rodgers has never been like that leader, but why can he never build a rapport with his wide receivers, not build a relationship, but instead he does these weird cleanses, doesn't show up to mini camp, doesn't show up to anything until he has to. And then I guess the only other thing is, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not, why not sit Aaron Rodgers this next game? We're not going to win this next game, being a realistic fan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get his thumb a little bit healthy, see what Jordan Love can do. I mean, there was a couple passes, swing passes in the flats. He's not even close to Aaron Jones. And then midway through the third quarter, I think, he had Romeo Doubs wide open for a little 5-yard pass to get a first down. He threw it at his feet.
Right.
I just don't understand. And it's not just Aaron Rodgers. This whole Packers organization right now is a dumpster fire. And like I said, I'm not a fair weather fan, but I'm a realist fan. We need to, for me, start the rebuild, do something, because it ain't good. So, but I love your show, man. I hope you have a good day. Relax.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. Okay. I don't, here's the thing. First of all, I don't agree with sitting Rodgers if he can play. So we can disagree there. But when you say, well, he can't throw, I don't know what he can do. Because that pass he threw to Aaron Jones was a thing of beauty. I agree with you. He's had some inordinate amount of passes that have been in the dirt. And you're looking at it going, what the hell, So some of those, 100% agree. 100% agree. But, man, I just, I can't make out whether or not he's throwing it to only the area that his guys can retrieve it versus not, or if they're just bad, good, bad, and I don't know. I don't know. That's only Rodgers can answer that question and tell you whether or not it's actually working or not working, whether the thumb is a major issue or not a major issue. That's the only thing you got to go on. Rodgers is never going to come out and tell you it's really, really bad. We'll find out about that after the end of the season. And you find out that about a lot of different quarterbacks. Not making an excuse for it, but I don't. It's a great question, but I'm not going to sit Rodgers. That's not what I'm going to do. 877-867-1670. Let's do this after the top of the hour. I had promised you to get into our power rankings. I'm sure you're probably sitting there waiting with bated breath to find out what we think of the Green Bay Packers and how far they have fallen. And they have fallen, by the way. We'll get into that. We'll get back into this statement and into this discussion as well. So hang in there. Stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Another hour yet to go coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Packers coach Matt LaFleur admitted yesterday he is concerned about David Bakhtiari after the former All-Pro did not play in Sunday's loss to Washington. Bakhtiari continuing to have issues with his surgically repaired knee that cost him much of last season and the start to this year, but he had started 4 straight games and practiced all 3 days last week leading up to the game.
Oh, yeah. Anytime a guy doesn't play in a game and he got through the week of practice and, Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go. And we went out and they worked him out in pregame and didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
His injury not the only concern. So too is the health at wide receiver. Already without Randall Cobb and Christian Watson. Leading receiver Alan Lazard has a shoulder injury that left him in a sling yesterday. His status for Sunday's game at Buffalo uncertain. Team back in the field for practice tomorrow. Green Bay sitting just 3-4 in the year, having lost 3 in a row. They haven't lost 4 in a row since Aaron Rodgers' first year as a starter back in 2008. Turning to Wisconsin, they are on their bye week. That's after taking care of Purdue last week, 35-24. They're going to return to face 6-2 Maryland next week at Camp Randall.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs back in action tomorrow night as they welcome Kevin Durant and Brooklyn to town. Milwaukee sitting at 2-0 on the year. The Nets 1-2. And Wisconsin can host UW Eau Claire in exhibition action on Sunday at the Kohl Center. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. And this is easy today when it comes to the power rankings. It's kind of easy. Carolina flip-flops with Detroit. They get out of the basement. Detroit goes to 32. Carolina goes to 31. Chicago moves up. Jacksonville falls. So Jacksonville sitting at 30. Chicago at 29. Houston still at 28. Washington moves up a couple. Denver continues to fall. They're now at 27. Washington now sitting at number 25. The Raiders at number 26. Pittsburgh, Arizona, Cleveland, all sitting right there. Seattle continues to climb. But when you get into the top 15, my top 15 are this. San Francisco, which falls a couple of spaces. New England falls a couple of spaces. Tampa Bay has fallen 3 more, sitting now at 13. The Chargers at number 12. Miami at number 11. Baltimore at number 10. Then it goes Tennessee, Dallas, the Jets, 9, 8, 7. Cincinnati at 6, Minnesota at 5, the Giants at 4, Kansas City at 3, Buffalo at 2, and Philadelphia at 1. No one in the top 10 really changed that much. But Green Bay falls out of the top 15. And I have them now sitting at number 18 overall as far as the power rankings go. They just can, I start to think about some of the teams that are below them and the teams with the same as or worse records than them. And I think, okay, are the Falcons better or worse than the Packers? I think the Falcons are scrappier than the Packers. Are the Colts better or worse than the Packers? I think they're worse. I think the Colts are worse. What about the 49ers? Sitting at 3 and 4. I think the 49ers are better than the Packers. What about the Raiders at 2 and 4? I think the Raiders are worse. I think the Texans are worse. I think the Broncos are worse. I think the Steelers are worse. I'd have to go by head to head, but I think the Bears are ascending and the Packers are descending. I think the Lions are worse. I think the Browns are worse. I think the Saints are on par with. I think the Cardinals are better. I think the Buccaneers are a tick worse because their defense, which was supposed to be so good, is terrible. And their offensive line is just gutted, and they don't have anybody. So the Packers are, in essence, a mediocre, mid-level team. And coming up this weekend, which we all know, coming up on Sunday night, Packers are taking on Buffalo in Buffalo. You got two teams that are on a bye this week. That is going to be the Chiefs and the Chargers. Everybody else in action this week. And you do have some pretty good games. You got the Cardinals on the road taking on the Vikings. Vikings coming back after a bye week. You've got it did look like a good game to begin with on Thursday night with the Ravens visiting the Buccaneers, but that's turned into kind of a are the Ravens just a tick better than the Buccaneers playing down in Tampa, and can Tampa straighten things out? I didn't think it'd be a decent game, but it looks like maybe with the Bears and their resurgence on the road taking on the Cowboys, maybe that'll be a little bit better. You've got ineptitude right now with the Raiders and the Saints. Patriots on the road taking on the Jets. The 49ers and the Rams, always a good game. Always a good game. Eagles are back in action, but they're taking on just a terrible Steelers team. And then your Monday night game is Cincinnati on the road in Cleveland. But you don't have really a circle the wagons must win cool game. You got, a couple that we have of interest, but that's it. This weekend in the NFL just sucks for matchups.
Oh, Broncos, Jaguars doesn't get you going?
Broncos, Jaguars, I'd rather slam an appendage in a car door. And pick the appendage.
Jaguars are good.
Jaguars at least have some excitement to them. But they got off to that start, and I thought, okay, here we go. And they have just fallen on hard times. I think where if you have any interest at all, that would be a game of badness. Also, the other game of badness is the 2-4 Raiders and the 2-5 Saints. You want to see if the Jets can keep it going in their own division, taking on the Patriots maybe.
Cardinals Vikings is sneaky. Feels like the Vikings haven't played in a month.
Yes. And if the Cardinals get a win, you're kind of watching that game as a Packers fan, because if the Cardinals get a win and then the Packers get a win, well, maybe there is a modicum of hope.
Then you're only two back in the division.
Right? But look at it this way. The Packers, if it's going to take 10 games to win, to get you into the postseason as a wild card team, where are the next 7 games coming from? Right? That's what you got to ask yourself. Where are the next set? You're sitting with 3 wins right now. Where are the next 7 wins coming from? I don't even know. If you get a win against the Bills, and that's a big if, okay, I think we can all say that's not going to happen. But pick where the next 7 wins are coming from if you get a win this weekend. The Lions, you should beat. Cowboys? If you beat the Bills, then you can prove that you can beat anybody. Then it changes, I guess, perspective. But if you get beat by the Bills, where are the next 7 wins coming from? The Lions? There's 1. Cowboys? No. Titans? Coin flip. Say, okay, we'll give you the Titans at home.
Bears? Is that a gold package game, though?
That's a Thursday night.
Doesn't that change things? Isn't there this big deal about the home crowd?
Yeah, it's only for people that want to make a big deal out of it. Lions, Titans, Bears, there's 3. Rams, no. Dolphins, no. Vikings, no. Lions, maybe. There's 4. That's only 4 wins. How are you going to get to 10 wins? You have got 3 losses left this season you can take. That's it. I don't know how you're going to get to 10 wins. Ain't happening. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. After Waves says the Rams aren't all of that. I agree with you, but I still think the Rams are better talent. And that's a Matt LaFleur friend. Matt LaFleur does not coach well against his friends. Think about that.
Does he have any friends in Buffalo? Have we gone through the rest of the schedule to see where all of his friends are?
Good question. We have not, but we'll have to take a look.
I need to text Grant Bills. I feel like he's all over that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. The NFC is so bad. Let's see here. And Afterwave says they could beat the Lions, the Cowboys, Titans, Vikings, Bears again. You think they're going to beat the Cowboys? I hate to say this, but I don't think so. Now, we know Mike McCarthy could come in and choke things away, and Dak Prescott could choke it away. I agree with that. But if you had to put money on the game and you were going to bet right here, right now, would you do that? I don't think so.
Did you just listen to that question I just answered?
Right? Rodgers has been good against Dallas, but I'm not betting on it. Put it that way. I'm not betting on it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do it. I just don't, I'm not going there with the pack. I just can't. Am I grasping at straws? Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm trying to figure out if there's hope, and I just don't think there is. And if there is hope, hope is very little. Hope is diminutive at this point. Dwayne says, let's not fool ourselves. This season is over. You got to start building towards next year. That's the reason I would go ahead and make a trade right now. Get rid of a draft choice or two and find somebody stable enough to come in, start to learn the system, and then be a asset next year. That's from Dwayne. Matt says, no way Gutekunst makes a move. It's not within him. He holds on to those draft choices like he's got gold in his fingers, and only he knows how good those draft choices will be. Go ahead, sit there with the draft choices in your back pocket. You're going to find them in your back pocket like a candy bar and turn to blank. I can't say that word. Thank you very much. Ryan says, nope, not going to make a trade. Why do it now? Is one guy really going to make that big of a difference? I think if you can move the offense and you get eventually Christian Watson and your guys back and you can just sustain, you can get a win or two, then maybe in the next few weeks you can start to get better and take the pressure off of the defense. You have a terrible scoring offense right now. It's one of the worst in the league. I just went over the off, and if you keep the offensive line the way it is, short of inserting David Bakhtiari for Zach Tom, maybe that continually gets better as well. I think it's not difficult. It's just show me something. Clean up your own ineptitude. Clean up the holding penalties. Clean up the missed assignments. Clean up, not blocking somebody and allowing them to run free and either get to the quarterback or make the tackle. And if you clean up the mental mistakes and your own self-inflicted wounds, you got a fighter's chance. You really do. But there is nobody, there's not one defensive coordinator that fears this offense any longer. Only for the fact that Rodgers is coming to a gunfight with a straw. He just doesn't have the ability to get the ball to anybody that's going to do anything with it. And this is on Matt LaFleur. Clean up the mistakes and get me more creative offensively. And it takes keep your defense on the sideline just for a little while. Get a couple of drives together. Get some points out of those drives. And if you can get a few wins and then get healthy, you got a fighter's chance. You can just get to the postseason. But this is kind of it. If you get horrifically embarrassed on Sunday Night Football with this mess, it's over. And I think at that point in time, if you're Mark Murphy, you got to consider, do you leave it for a few more games before making a move? If you just don't see any fight in this team, I think that's a very realistic proposition for a lot of what ifs. But if they come out and they fight their ass off and say they lose this game, but they don't get embarrassed, say it's 27-24 and it comes down to a last second field goal and they fought and impressed the hell out of everybody, well, I'm back on board. You went toe to toe with what many people consider to be the best team in the National Football League. Anything can happen. I'm back on board. But if you go there and it's 35-10 and you don't have the ability to move the football and you look terrible and blocking's still bad and penalties are still bad and guys are still dropping the football and you're still giving up big plays, big drives, defense ain't playing. I mean, and Amari Rodgers is still back there muffing punts. Well, then you're not learning anything from your own ineptitude and you need to move on. That's it for me. When we come back, we'll get to Ed listening to us in Madison. John's on hold as well. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program being brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire Service. Lyle and the gang, fantastic people at J&L Tire Service. And not only are they trustworthy with your vehicle, but they're also really good people when it comes to your car and the community. They do a lot in the community, as a matter of fact. J&L Tire Service does. Good stuff from our friends at J&L Tire Service. They are very philanthropic. They're right there off of 94 at the Johnson Creek exit, just north of 94, as a matter of fact. Whether you're an over-the-road truck driver with a big rig, or whether you're a soccer mom with a minivan, or somebody out calling on sales, or just somebody driving around in a very cost-effective small vehicle, they can get it all done for you. Just check them out, jnltire.com. That's jnltire.com. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up, and it's coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Best way to get a Packers game going? Give it some gas. Actually, give you some gas. It's the Quick Trip Opening Drive Sweepstakes. Win a $10 gas card for every yard earned on the Packers opening drive. 1 yard, $10. 50 yards, chug a lug for your vehicle. Oh, and if the Packers score on the opening drive, we'll throw you an extra $500. Just fuel up on Quick Trip's guaranteed gasolines. Use your Quick Rewards and you're entered. See quicktrip.com/sweepstakes for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Friends from Great Lakes Dragaway, reminding you the 2023 tickets and season passes and stuff are all right there. Let's get back to the phone calls. Talk to Ed, listening to us out in Madison. Ed, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm really good, Unit. I love listening to you, especially from the old 620 days. You bring a lot of fresh perspective, and I really appreciate it because we back in Madison always don't have the know. We just know what we want. And what we want is a better performance and just better performance. I'm tired of watching the Packers flounder when they should be doing the obvious. When you go to college games or even high school games, when you're 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, you just give it to your running backs and let them do the damage. I'm tired of watching them trying to pass all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, Unit, you had me, about wild card, but then you had me when you broke it all down. I kind of took basically a deep thought, and I said, no way we're going to the playoffs this year. I just don't see it, not with this play calling, not with this performance, not with the injuries. Like you said, holding, muff punts.
Mm-hmm.
It just puts such a dark gray looking day like today into what the Packers season's been. So what
I don't know
is
whether
it?
to be
Play
sorry
calling?
or honest. Yeah. I think it's play calling. I think it's play calling. As much as we talk about the ineffectiveness and the little things, and I think it's coaching. I think when you cannot get guys to hone in on the little things, you want guys to play with instinct, right. Don't get me wrong. But when you can't get guys to understand who they're supposed to block, that's coaching. When you can't get guys to buy in on what it is you're doing, you can't catch a pass, you can't catch a punt, you can't block the guy in front of you, you run past them and let them have a free-for-all to the ball carrier, to the quarterback. I mean, that's coaching, man. And then to have your coach stand up there and go, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say to these guys. Try being a little pissed off like the rest of us are.
Right on. And, if we did come down to a close game and we had Rodgers back there, remember back in the day when he could do the Hail Marys and have time?
Yep.
Look what happened with the Giants.
Right.
He rolled out, finger injury. Look what we're dealing with. Now we got a hurt quarterback. My last thought, and then I'll just be quiet for a bit and let you chime in more. When you said Mark Murphy's going to have to make a decision, are you really talking like making a decision? Because we're dealing with a coach that had 13-win season 3 years in a row. Not much to show for it with playoff wins.
If you have a coach that looks as if they've lost the locker room, you have got to make a move. I don't care what the success is, because once guys in the locker room don't believe in you anymore, your effectiveness as a head coach is done. Doesn't matter who you are.
Wow.
That's why this game to me. That's why this game to me is so important, because if they come out and they fight their ass off, and even if they lose this one in a moral victory, you can accept that.
Sure.
But if they come out and just get blown out and look lethargic doing it, and there's a lot of questioning again about the coaching staff, a lot of questioning again about what the coaches are going to do. Rodgers is looking to the sideline saying, what the F are you doing? That to me is like, okay, it's over. The honeymoon's done. You got to go. It's time to move on.
I'm having deja vu, Ray Rhodes era.
Well, this
they look like he lost.
Yeah, this game, the Jets game, reminded me a lot of the last game for Mike McCarthy, where it just kind of came down to it just looked like the guys weren't interested anymore, and you got to figure out a way to get them interested again. And if they're not going to listen to the coach you have, you got to find a different voice.
And I was at that last game, and all I cared about was getting a few beers in me and staying warm.
Right?
That's how I felt that game.
Oh, that game sucked. That was a miserable day.
That was my birthday present. And what a hell of a present I had given to me. My daughter lived in Austin, Texas. She flew all the way back to Madison, to Wisconsin to take me to the game. We get to the game. She don't have the tickets. She left them in Austin.
Oh, no.
So I went and fronted all the tickets. I went and bought the tickets anyway, just because we're there and I wanted to have a good time.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a hell of a birthday.
Man.
A little more expensive than I wanted, but hey.
That's a kick to the crotch. No doubt. Holy mackerel. Hang in there, man.
Sure.
Appreciate the phone call. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. I got you the best birthday gift ever. I just didn't bring it with me. So if you want to front us some money and take me to the game, I wouldn't mind that at all. If it wasn't your daughter, I would say you've been set up. But daughters wouldn't do that to dads. My buddies would do that to me, but beyond that, no. Let's get back at it. Let's go to John. John, welcome to the program, man. What's happening?
Hey, Bill. I got a couple comments, and my first comment is I don't believe over the last couple of years the Packers' offense has evolved. Teams know what they're going to run. It's easier to defend. Second comment is that I don't believe the coaching staff and the playbook utilizes the players they have. We don't have Devontae. We can't run what we had with Devontae with the new guys. So get creative and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And the final comment is, why can't on a short yardage situation they figure out a U-52 package that they used to run back in the day when you had the fullback up there, plow right through it, get the first down. Just be creative instead of the same stuff over the last 3 years that all the other coaches know how to defend. I think you're seeing the same struggles in LA and San Francisco because they're running the same stuff.
I would agree that I would do something. First of all, I've never been a fan of shotgun, throw it on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Never been a fan of it. Never. Because I think even if you throw the football, you're taking away any play action. And Aaron Rodgers is so good at play action. You're not even giving him the opportunity to do that. And I think that's a complete travesty. That is a coaching mistake on so many levels. So I agree with you. But if I'm going to do it, I'm running it under center. I'm going to at least put A.J. Dillon in to where we all know he can plow forward as a plow horse, and you could always run one of those packages. But this whole thing about being in shotgun, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, and then throwing the football on a half-assed fake, come on. That's just incredibly poor. It's poorly thought out. It's poorly designed. It's poorly executed, and it's horse crap, in my opinion. I'm with you.
Yep, I would
something
agree.
different.
And it's just disappointing to see game after game running the same plays, and even on the defense side doing the same thing. Challenge them.
At least the defense has gotten more aggressive, and when they did play man up, that's when Amari got burned by McLaurin over the top. So kind of be careful what you wish for at times. But I'll take going for it defensively over not going for it defensively and allowing them to take you and beat you up with chunk yards.
Exactly. Hey, you have a great day. Great talking to you.
Appreciate it, pal. Talk to you soon. He drops off. You get on board. if you choose to do so. No problem. 877-867-1670. Rodgers has some things to say, and you're going to hear them when we come back. Okay? Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Hang in there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Milwaukee Bedbug Pros. This time, I don't know if you noticed it, but oh my God, the box elder bugs, the stink bugs, and everything were all over the place. Now, they weren't inside my house. I'll tell you that because I was happy with that. They were on the outside, but some of the stuff that I had just sprayed a little on there, nothing around anymore. A friend of mine, though, had bugs every damn where. Everywhere. And Milwaukee Bedbug Pros, I said, here, go call these guys. Call them right now, 414-877-5811, 414-877-5811. That's 414-877-5811. Call Michael and say, hey, I got these creepy crawlies all over the joint, man. I need these things eradicated. It's safe. It's effective. Thermal and chemical options, whether you got kids or dogs, pets, whatever, you're good to go. Residential homes, townhomes, you know what I'm talking about. You may not see them now, but you know they're there because they got into your house. They're in your house. So go ahead and give them a shout. Me, they were on the outside. I'm good. On the inside, no way. Don't want those things creeping around the house. Give them a shout. Bed bugs, too, if you travel a lot, specifically. Multi-unit apartment buildings, condos, dorm rooms, hotels, motels, resorts, medical facilities, daycares, you name it, they can help you out. Again, 414-877-5811 or go to MilwaukeeBedbugPros.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Adela in the title tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game day bus, take 47.
Let's all take
the game day bus
to Titletown. Let's go.
Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now, Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down, make no payments, and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Hey, today is your last chance to get the $5 off Guy King tickets. He's going to be at Smoke on the Water, the Chicago Blues guitar master. He's going to be at Smoke on the Water out in Okauchee Lake coming up on November 11th. November 11th. And if you are looking for tickets, today's it. So all you got to do is go to either Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon or Smoke on the Water. Find it over on Facebook. Get a hold of him. And Guy King is a real deal. If you've never heard him play, he's amazing. And he's coming to Smoke on the Water. So big time stuff happening for them. So if you are into the blues and music and such, November 11th, going to be at Smoke on the Water out in Okauchee Lake. Look forward to that. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us. Now, Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee. His thoughts on the game. Take a listen.
You guys were able to do anything. Is it just you think it was them making plays, you guys not executing? What do you think it is?
Well, I mean, they have a nice front. They got a lot of first rounders in that front. They got a good, good linebackers, good on the back end. But we had so many just mental errors and mistakes. It's not the kind of football we're used to playing over the years. There have definitely been games, 4 or 5 seasons where we average, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 at the most kind of mental errors or missed assignments per week. And some weeks you have like 4, 2 sometimes. This week, it's this season a lot more than that every single week. It's double digits every single week. It's even on a game we had like 50 plays or something. It wasn't a ton of plays. Like they had 37 minutes of time possession. A lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you can afford maybe 1-2 mental errors tops, but they're getting quite a bit more than that. Quite a bit more than that. And you can hear it in Rodgers' voice, just like, this is just ridiculous. The mental mistakes. And that again is coaching. If guys aren't getting it, you got to figure out why. I'm sorry, you just do. I mean, so sometimes it's the player, but it's policing the guys around you as a player. And if they're not getting it and they can't figure out how to get it, then you gotta look at coaching. Got to look at coaching. Now, the thought, it's not run the table. It's not RELAX. It's none of that. But listen to what Aaron Rodgers had to say about the remainder of the season.
I think when the players really take over, then you're going to see the possibility of us making a run. So when the players really take over, I'm not talking about usurping power from coaches. I'm talking about we take over, we take ownership of what we're putting on the field. Now, some of that might be in the plan. So some of that might be, hey, I really want to do this, offense, defense, teams, whatever it might be. But the other part is taking ownership of your daily habits and your routines. Just because we're a young team, we can't just write that off as, oh, they're figuring it out. The rookies are figuring this thing out, and they're going to go through their rookie wall.
There you go.
Everybody on the same page to make the plays that are possible. We need them Monday to Saturday to put in the time to be ready to play Sunday, because there's too many times in a game where there's simple things that just are not being accomplished.
How close are you? We hear people talk about like different players about their team. Oh, we're really close, even though they may be losing some games. Okay, we're close. We're almost there. We just got to figure it out. Do you feel like you guys are close and it's just one player here or there?
It's definitely not just one play here or there. Like I said, it's 20% of the time. If we have 50 plays and we have 10 mental missed assignments or mental errors, that's 20% of the time. So that's way too high. In the past, we're looking more like at less than 10%. So it gives us a really good chance to be successful. 20%, that's too high. That's one play a series where you're really making it tough on yourself. So we got to fix that. And whatever that is, I think, guys who are making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing. We got to start cutting some reps. And maybe guys who aren't playing, give them a chance. So we're going to see. We made some changes, last week. We moved Josh over to right tackle. We moved John to right guard, Elton to left guard. So, we're doing some things. And there'll be more opportunities for other guys, I think, moving forward, too, especially with our injury situation as we look at this week and see who's healthy.
How about that? Guys are making too many mental mistakes, and we need to find somebody who isn't. How about that? As much as we talk about coaching, I like that out of Aaron Rodgers. That's leadership. Saying, look, if you're not with us and you're going to do nothing but hurt us, you got to sit. You lose your reps, man. This is an earn it game. And he believes it's not just the coaches. It could be, but says, hey, look, we got to take ownership of this. I love that. I love that. I really respect that. That's good stuff from Rodgers. And you would assume that stuff that's been said inside the walls of 1265. If you're going to be out there committing 20% of the time mental mistakes, you're no good to us. You can't do it once a series and put us behind. You got to go. We'll find guys who can. I love that. Love it. It's Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Today's the day when everything changes and you're back in the game at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino, where your win is waiting. Alongside great dining, world-class entertainment, and a luxurious hotel, all in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. Here, we play to win. Visit paysbig.com for more. Must be 21 to enter casino.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, in Green Bay, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers will return to practice tomorrow to get ready for the Buffalo Bills this Sunday night. Matt LaFleur asked how concerned he is about Packers left tackle David Bakhtiari after he had to sit out the Washington game with more knee troubles.
Oh, yeah. Anytime a guy doesn't play in a game and he got through the week of practice and, Saturday he came in and wasn't feeling right. So we knew there was a possibility. I think we were all hopeful that he'd be able to give it a go. And we went out and they worked him out in pregame. Didn't feel like he could go. So we were kind of in that situation.
Right guard John Runyon said last night that rookie Zach Tom, the 4th-round pick out of Wake Forest, did a good job filling in last week for Bakhtiari at left tackle.
Zach got reps in at left tackle all week, so I feel like putting him in there, he
came in, played pretty well. I think it's something to build on, and he finally got to see full game what live bullets look like, and I think it's only going to set us up for further down the road. God forbidding something else happens. I'm confident in Zach stepping up and taking over.
On defense, Rashawn Gary had to leave Sunday's game with a concussion when he collided helmet-to-helmet with a teammate. That meant more snaps for rookie J.J. Enagbare, who says despite falling to 3-4, the Packers are confident they can turn things around.
Yeah, it's still pretty early on. We have a long season to play, so I definitely feel like we're definitely going to come together as a whole and pretty much show the world we're the best defense out there.
That's linebacker J.J. Enagbare from Lambeau Field. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
You got to hit it, bang it. Hit it, bang it, rock it.
Got an NFL update. Going to give you that coming up here momentarily. Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show. Good stuff. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Four Seasons Island Resort. Go to thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Big Halloween costume party coming up this weekend. They've got a wine dinner coming up in November. They've got all kinds of Black Friday stuff. So many different things heading on up at the Four Seasons. But yeah, you can get 15% off like right now. You get the immediacy if you just tell them you heard it here. Call our girl Barb, B-A-R-B, at thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Barb at thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Remember the other day we were talking about the official that called Mike Evans over in the tunnel after the game, and Evans came over and like wrote something for him, and everybody thought it was an autograph. Turns out it wasn't. Jeff Lambert, the line judge, and Tripp Suter called Evans' name. Evans then wrote something on the card that they had handed him. The collective bargaining agreement, I had said this before, between the NFL and the NFL Referees Association, prohibits any game officials from approaching a player or coaches for autographs, obviously because of partiality. The officials can, though, get autographs and memorabilia for charitable purposes, but those requests must go through the league office, and then it's taken care of. But they wouldn't say what Mike Evans wrote down or what was said during the interaction. But after interviewing all the parties involved, they all had the same story, and both Lambert and Suter have been reminded of the importance of avoiding even the mere appearance of impropriety when interacting with players, coaches, and club staff on game day, including during and post-game time periods. Lambert, though, 21 seasons in the NFL, and Suter is in his fourth. They know better. So you can't imagine that they would be asking for autographs. But Mike Evans, whatever it is that they wanted from him, it was not an autograph. It's been determined by the NFL, by the NFLPA, and the referees. So that was it.
They said the referee was giving Mike Evans the number of a golf pro to help his swing.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's the story.
Okay. There you go. By the way, asked on the Pat McAfee show about his own performance, Aaron Rodgers said the quarterback's coach, Tom Clemens, gave him his highest single game grade yet this season in the loss against the Commanders. I will say this, Pro Football Focus rated him out pretty high too, believe it or not. Aaron Rodgers, his overall offense, 66.5, 65.6 via the pass. So Aaron Rodgers actually got a decent grade. A.J. Dillon graded out the highest offensively, followed by Aaron Jones, Allen Lazard, and Aaron Rodgers. But Rodgers in the 54 snaps, 41 of them were passes. Some of them were runs, even though they were considered passes. But interesting stuff. As I was starting to break down some of the grades from this past weekend, as Pro Football Focus went back and looked at the card, so to speak. So there you go. Interesting. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. This is from Stu. Stu says, it's over. Put a fork in it. Let's start building for next year. I'd still go out and get somebody that you can control for another year, not a rental player just for this season. I think the Packers need to do that to get somebody on the same page with Aaron Rodgers, somebody he can work with in the offseason. And also, if he's committed to the team, then damn it, be here. That's from Stu. This is from Dave. Dave says, I think a lot of this being discussed today is right on the head. I've said for a while that I think Matt LaFleur is soft as a head coach. He seems lost right now, and you cannot look to your head coach for leadership, and even he seems lost. What else do we have? John, real quick. John says, hey guys, great program. I can't wait for tomorrow to hear what the post pressers are going to be after practice. We're all going to feel as if they've gotten everything right and they're going to beat the Buffalo Bills only to go out and get shellacked. And then what? Well, John, I mean, it's kind of like what I said. There's a lot of pressure on this game to, how do I put this? You want to win, and a win would be spectacular. It would make you a believer again. But like I said, let's say they really go toe-to-toe with the Bills. They play really good football, almost mistake-free football, and they come up on the short end, say 27-24, and it's a last-second field goal or something. Then how are you going to feel? You're still, only 3 wins on the season. You're going to be 3-5. So I understand that. But do you feel better about where the team is at? Now, if you go out on Sunday and you watch this team Sunday night, and by halftime you're turning it off and going to bed because it's 27-3, and they're just running roughshod over the Packers in the first half of the ball game, knowing that the Packers in the second half of ball games this year have been abysmal, then you probably go to bed and you wake up and maybe you placed a bet before you went to bed with your buddy to say, hey, I bet you they score 50. And then you wake up to see if they actually scored 50 or not on the Packers. But if they get beat like that, then I think, inside the walls of 1265, they're having meetings. They're having some meetings about where this thing's going, about whether or not this thing is going to be even sustainable for the end of the season, or if you're going to have to make a move prior to that. So I like what I'm hearing, for everybody that wants to rip Aaron Rodgers, and believe me, there's been times that I have as well. That. I like what I'm hearing out of him. Now, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing are two different things at the moment, but you got to start somewhere. I'm not giving him a pass, but I like what I hear. It's not negative. It's not doom and gloom. It's not pointing the finger. This is him saying, myself and all these other guys, we got to take our responsibility. We got to put it on us to get this right and eliminate the mental mistakes. Once we do, then you can look at game plans and coaches and all that kind of stuff. But the film doesn't lie. When you see a play called that could have, should have, would have worked, only to see it completely fail abysmally because the guy just completely doesn't even read the play right, you can't blame the call. You can blame the player and or the coaching of the player. One of the two. But I agree. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Again, 877-867-1670. Coming up tomorrow on the program, Mark Schofield's going to be here. He'll be joining us. Peter Bukowski, also, I read some of his stuff online on Twitter earlier today. He's going to join us as well. It was interesting because the play calling of Matt LaFleur, only 4 plays did they actually have motion. For an offense, it was supposed to be just wrought with motion and movement and circumstance. They haven't had that specifically this year. And Peter went back and kind of counted things up and made some comments on Twitter. So we're going to talk with him coming up tomorrow on the program as well as we get back into this thing. Bucks tomorrow night, looking to keep an unblemished record back down at the Fiserv Forum. They've won on the road. They've won at home. They continue on. But here comes Brooklyn. I don't think it's going to be a Houston kind of blowout night. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But thanks to everybody for paying attention over on the Bud Light live stream and hanging out with us. Appreciate it. Good numbers over there the last few days specifically. You can always go back and watch the program on YouTube once it ends. It refreshes and it'll go back on YouTube. Subscribe there. It's free. You can just go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show and subscribe, or always follow us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Everything's over on the website, thebillmichaels.com. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks to everybody for watching as well. Time for us to go.